Welcome to Thalira Tales, where stories bloom in silence, carrying emotion, mystery, and hidden truth. Step in and let the tale unfold.
At the family Thanksgiving dinner, my mother-in-law warmly embraced her eldest daughter-in-law, Sarah, and then, with every relative watching, slapped me sharply across the cheek. She screamed at me to follow Sarah's example. My husband, Liam, sat in silence for 3 seconds before opening his mouth. "Honey, we're moving out tonight." Then, turning to his mother, he added, "Mom, from now on, you can live with Robert and Sarah." My mother-in-law, Eleanor Sullivan, froze in shock. The sharp, crisp smack still echoed in the grand dining room, and the air seemed to instantly freeze. Eleanor's hand was still raised in the air, her eyes a mix of triumph and contempt. Her left hand was tightly gripping Sarah's, as if she were the most precious treasure in the world. I, Chloe Sullivan, sat slumped in my chair, clutching my burning cheek, a ringing in my ears as I stared at them. This was what it meant to be a daughter-in-law in the wealthy, aristocratic Sullivan family you had to bow down. Through the ringing, Eleanor's piercing voice cut in. "Look at Sarah! She manages the house perfectly and takes wonderful care of her in-laws, doesn't she? Plus, she gave us a strong grandson to carry on the Sullivan legacy. But what about you? You've been married for over 3 years, and your womb is empty. We're lucky you didn't burn the kitchen down, seeing as you can't even prepare a proper holiday meal." The dining room was packed with relatives. 2 aunts, 3 uncles, and their wives and kids, over 20 pairs of eyes all fixed on me. Some looked shocked. Some seemed to enjoy the spectacle. And others lowered their heads in embarrassment. Sarah gently tugged at Eleanor's sleeve and said, "Oh, Eleanor, please stop." Chloe is trying her best in her own way. But the corners of her mouth were slightly curled into an undeniable smirk. That was her true feeling. My husband, Liam, stood next to me. I could feel his whole body go stiff. 3 years. It had been 3 years. Since marrying into this family, I had endured everything. Eleanor's constant nitpicking, Sarah's subtle manipulations, and the relatives' whispers. I believed that if I just tried harder and loved Liam truly, everything would get better. But this slap woke me up completely. "Mom, what are you doing?" My voice was surprisingly calm. Even I was shocked by it. "What am I doing?" "I'm fixing your atrocious manners," Eleanor shouted, putting her hands on her hips, spit flying from her lips. "Today, in front of the whole family, I'm going to teach you exactly how a Sullivan wife should behave. Look at your sister-in-law and learn. Look how wise and domestic she is." Sarah immediately lowered her head modestly, playing the part of the virtuous wife. "You flatter me, Eleanor. It's just my duty to the family." Holding my burning cheek, I looked up at Liam. He was looking down at me. His lips were pressed into a thin line. In the eyes of the man I had loved so deeply for the past few years, a storm of complex emotions, anger, shame, hesitation was raging. 3 seconds. He was silent for exactly 3 seconds. And just as the last spark of hope in my soul was about to go out, Liam suddenly moved. He stepped forward, placing himself between me and his mother. "Are you done, Mom?" His voice wasn't loud, but in the dead silence of the dining room where you could hear a pin drop, it rang out clearly. Eleanor, entirely unaccustomed to this reaction from her son, looked flustered. "Liam, what kind of tone is that? I'm your mother, and I'm teaching your wife some basic respect. My wife doesn't need to learn anything from you." Liam cut her off firmly, spitting out every word like ice. Then he turned to me and took my hand. "Chloe, does it hurt?" Tears instantly welled up in my eyes, but I bit my lip and shook my head. Liam took a deep breath and looked around at all the relatives. "Aunts? Uncles? I apologize, but our family dinner is over." "Liam Sullivan!" Eleanor shrieked. "Are you crazy? In front of the whole family, I'm saying this because the whole family is here. I want to make things crystal clear." Liam's voice became frighteningly calm. "Mom, you always praise Sarah. So, starting today, pack your bags and move in with Robert and Sarah." "What?" Eleanor and Sarah yelled in shock simultaneously. Robert, the eldest brother, jumped up from his chair. "Liam, what kind of nonsense are you talking about?" Liam ignored him and continued. "Chloe and I are leaving this house tonight. I know this estate was given to us as my share of the inheritance. But since you despise my wife so much, we won't live here anymore. Go live with the daughter-in-law you actually like. Murmurs erupted across the room. Liam, are you going to cut ties with the mother who gave birth to you over this woman? Eleanor's voice trembled with an emotion that was hard to identify as anger or fear. I just wanted the bare minimum of respect for my wife, Mom. But clearly, you are incapable of that. Liam squeezed my hand tighter. Sarah's face went pale. She obviously hadn't expected things to go this far. She had been hugging Eleanor to show off her status in front of the relatives. But now, that same mother-in-law was about to become her problem. Eleanor Liam is just speaking out of anger, Sarah said hastily, trying to do damage control. But Liam was already pulling me toward the master bedroom. Come on, pack your bags. We're leaving tonight, how dare you? Eleanor chased after us. Liam Sullivan, if you walk out that door today, you can forget you ever had a mother. Liam stopped in his tracks. My heart sank. I knew how much he valued family, how much he never wanted to hurt his mother. Those 3 seconds of silence earlier were his fierce internal battle. But as he slowly turned around, there was a determination in his eyes I had never seen before. You abandoned my wife first, Mom. If I have to choose between the two of you, I choose Chloe. With those words, he didn't hesitate anymore. He pulled me into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. Outside, we could hear Eleanor's wailing and the chaotic voices of the relatives trying to calm her down. Inside the room, Liam pulled me into a tight embrace, his voice finally trembling slightly. I'm so sorry, Chloe. I'm so sorry. I should have protected you sooner. How hard has this been for you? The tears I had held back for so long finally burst out, soaking his shirt. Look at your face. He gently stroked my swollen cheek with his fingers, his eyes filled with pain and fury. How dare she? How could she hit you? I shook my head, trying to speak, but my throat was choked with sobs. We're leaving right now, Liam said resolutely. I have a condo downtown in Chicago that I bought as an investment property a while ago. It's fully furnished. We can stay there for now. But your job. I knew he was at a critical point in his career working for the Sullivan family firm in the suburbs. Commuting from downtown would be a nightmare. I can find another job. But I only have one wife. He cupped my face in his hands and looked at me earnestly. Chloe, for 3 years, I've watched you endure all of this for me. I watched you become quieter, sadder. When she slapped you today, it felt like someone drove a knife into my chest. I will never let anyone humiliate you again. Outside, Eleanor's wailing grew louder. Liam, come out here right now, you ungrateful brat! Are you throwing away your own mother for a barren woman? Even the relatives seemed to pause at the cruelty of her words. Someone started trying to pull her away. Liam's body went rigid, but he didn't open the door. Instead, he opened the closet and pulled out a suitcase. Let's just pack the essentials. We can get the rest later. I looked at his back. The man I had crushed on for 5 years, dated for 2, and been married to for 3. I had seen him sweet, exhausted, and joyful, but I had never seen him so fiercely determined. Liam, I called out quietly. He turned around. Thank you. But I don't want you to cut ties with your family because of me. Can't we talk it out? Talk? Liam laughed bitterly. When have we not tried to talk over the last 3 years? Every time my mother harassed you, I stepped in and tried to talk. She'd nod to my face and treat you worse behind my back. Chloe, there are people in this world who don't know how to compromise. People who don't understand boundaries. He walked over and gripped my shoulders. This isn't your fault. I was too indecisive. I always wanted to keep the peace. I foolishly thought she would eventually accept you. But today I realized, some people will never change unless you draw a hard line. Just then, there was a knock on the door. It was his brother, Robert. Liam, open the door. Let's talk calmly. We're family. There's no need to make things this ugly. Liam took a deep breath and opened the door. Robert stood there, and behind him was a pale Eleanor and an overtly panicked Sarah. Liam! Mom was just excited. Her words slipped out, Robert said, trying to pacify him. You saw. Sarah apologized earlier. Right, honey, Sarah nodded reluctantly. Chloe, I'm sorry. You know Eleanor is getting older and has a fiery temper. Don't take it to heart. Eleanor was looking away, her posture screaming that she had done absolutely nothing wrong. Liam looked back and forth between them, then let out a dry, cold laugh. Robert, if it was Sarah who got slapped today, what would you have done? If Mom hit your wife in front of the whole family and humiliated her by saying she was lesser than someone else, would you just tell her not to take it to heart because Mom is old? Everyone in the room held their breath. I can't do that, Liam continued. Because I actually love my wife. And I won't let her be treated like that. That slap wasn't an accident. It was the culmination of 3 years of disrespect. He looked past Robert to the relatives in the hall. Everyone here is a witness. As of today, Chloe and I are moving out. Since Mom loves her eldest daughter-in-law so much, Robert, you take her in. I'll send my share of her living expenses every month, but that's it. Liam Sullivan, how dare you, Eleanor shrieked, trying to lunge forward, but Robert grabbed her. Mom, please, just stop. Robert, who never raised his voice at his mother, suddenly yelled. Liam ignored them, turned around, and finished packing. I looked at the group of them, feeling a bitter irony. For 3 years, I had tried to please all of them, only to be publicly humiliated. But today, the moment I stopped compromising, the world suddenly started to shift. Chloe, let's go, Liam said softly. Half an hour later, we had 2 suitcases packed. Liam called an Uber Black, holding my hand as we walked out of the master suite. The relatives in the dining room hadn't dispersed yet. Seeing us, everyone fell silent. Eleanor was sitting on the sofa sobbing, while Sarah pretended to comfort her, shooting nervous glances our way. We're leaving, Liam said calmly. I'll leave the keys on the kitchen island. Liam. Eleanor jumped up. If you walk out that door today, don't ever think about stepping foot in this house again. Liam didn't even look back as he stopped walking. Mom, a house isn't just a pile of bricks. A home is a place where there is love and respect. When you learn how to respect my wife, then I'll bring her to visit. With that, he pulled me along, and we walked out of the house where I had endured 3 years of misery, never looking back. The moment the elevator doors of our building closed later that night, I buried my face in Liam's chest and finally broke down. Not out of grievance, but out of immense relief. Where are we going? I sobbed. Home. Our real home. Liam kissed my forehead. A home just for you and me. The car drove through the downtown Chicago streets. The neon lights filtered through the windows, casting geometric shadows on Liam's face. Does it still hurt? He asked, gently touching my swollen cheek. I shook my head. I was more worried about him. Are you really okay with turning your back on your family like this? And what about your job at the firm? I'll handle the job. He squeezed my hand. Chloe, do you know? For the last 3 years, every time I saw you force a smile, every time my mother degraded you, I felt like a piece of trash. When you got slapped today, it felt like I was the one who got hit. I leaned against his shoulder, tears brimming again. I just didn't want to make things hard for you. We're married. We're a team. When you hurt, I hurt, he sighed. I used to think time would fix everything. I thought she'd eventually accept you. But now I know. There are things that will never change unless you draw a hard line. The car pulled up to a sleek, modern high-rise in River North. It was a completely different world from the old-money suburban estate we had left behind. Here? I was a little surprised. I bought it as an investment property last year. Was going to sell it when the market went up, Liam said, grabbing our bags. But looks like it's going to be pretty useful for us now. The condo was a modest 2-bedroom, but the modern, minimalist interior was stunning. It had furniture, but lacked the warmth of a lived-in space. Let's go to Target tomorrow and buy some things to make it cozy, Liam said, flipping the switch. Warm yellow light filled the living room. I walked over to the floor-to-ceiling windows and looked down at the glittering city skyline. Just 3 hours ago, I was being slapped and humiliated in a suffocating house. Now, I was standing in a space that belonged entirely to us. It felt surreal. Suddenly, Liam's phone rang. The screen read Mom. Liam glanced at it and hit the decline button. I'm changing my number tomorrow. Only giving it to the people who need it, he said. You should think about doing the same. Take a break from your old number. Isn't that a bit extreme? I was worried. If we don't pull this up by the roots, they won't leave us alone. Liam laughed bitterly. I know my mother. She'll use every trick in the book to drag us back. Especially me. We need time to breathe and figure out our next steps. I nodded and powered off my phone. It was well past midnight. We lay squeezed together in the guest room bed, but neither of us could sleep. Liam, there's something I haven't told you. I whispered carefully into the dark. What is it? I went to the OBGYN last week. I bit my lower lip. The doctor said there's a slight issue with my fallopian tubes. Natural conception is a bit less likely, though not impossible. I was going to tell you after I took some medication and started treatment. In the dim light, Liam rolled over to face me. So that's why my mother called you a barren woman. I nodded, silent tears rolling down my cheeks. You idiot. He pulled me into a tight hug. Kids are a blessing. If we have them, great. If not, that's fine too. I married you because I love you, not for your reproductive capabilities. Medicine is so advanced now. If we really want a child later, we can try IVF, or we can adopt. The most important thing is that you are by my side. But your mother, I don't care what my mother thinks. Liam's voice was firm. What matters is what I think. And what you think, Chloe. Starting today, we live only for ourselves. We're done living up to other people's expectations. That night, I cried against his chest until I was exhausted and fell asleep, as if I were pouring out all the pain and injustice of the last 3 years. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the windows. I opened my eyes to find Liam already bustling around the kitchen. Only eggs and instant ramen in the pantry. Let's eat this for now and hit Whole Foods later. Seeing him in an apron was a bit comical, but it warmed my heart. For the first time in 3 years, I woke up not to the sharp nagging of my mother-in-law or the arrogant bragging of my sister-in-law, but to the sound of eggs sizzling in a pan and the reassuring back of my husband. Can you still see the mark on my cheek? I asked, pointing to my face. Liam examined it closely. It's a little red, but barely noticeable. We'll get some ointment at the pharmacy later. While we were talking, the doorbell rang unexpectedly. We looked at each other. Who could it be this early? Liam checked the peephole and his face darkened. It's Robert. My heart dropped. Robert, the eldest brother, pretended to be the gentleman of the family, but he was actually the most calculating. Are you going to open it? I asked. Liam thought for a moment, then nodded. We have to face him eventually. Let's hear what he has to say. The door opened. Robert stood there, holding a paper bag from a high-end bakery, smiling awkwardly. Liam. Chloe. Getting settled in? He walked in as if nothing had happened and set the bag on the kitchen island. Mom told me to bring you this. She woke up early and made her famous cinnamon rolls. Your favorite, Liam? I looked at the pastries and scoffed internally. The classic stick and carrot routine. Eleanor's signature move. Robert, if you have something to say, just say it. Liam didn't even touch the food. If you're here to drag us back to the suburbs, you can leave now. Robert's smile faltered. He let out a sigh. Liam, do we really have to do this? Mom is getting older. Her temper flares up. But she's the elder. Can't you just be a little more understanding? Has Mom ever, even once, tried to understand Chloe? Liam shot back. It's been 3 years. You saw it all. You saw how Mom treated her. Yesterday, she slapped her in front of the entire extended family. If Sarah had been hit like that, would you be telling her to just be understanding? Robert was speechless. Do you think I don't know what you're really thinking, Robert? Liam continued. You're terrified that Mom is actually going to move into your house. You're scared Sarah will complain and your life will become a headache. Caught red-handed, Robert's face changed. Don't worry. I'll send my half of her living expenses every month. And I'll pay my half of her medical bills. But since she loves Sarah so much, let them live together and enjoy each other's company. She can see her precious grandson every day. Isn't that great? Liam, that's harsh. Robert rubbed his hands nervously. Sarah works, and the kid is a handful. It's too hard for her to take care of Mom. Not my problem, Liam was resolute. Mom has 2 choices. Live alone in the estate and let me hire a housekeeper, or move in with you. But she is never living with us again. That is my final answer. Robert opened and closed his mouth, then finally turned to me. Chloe, Please, I'll talk some sense into him. We're family. Why make enemies of each other? Mom said if you come and apologize first, she'll forgive everything. Apologize? I almost burst out laughing. What exactly did I do wrong that requires an apology? Robert looked taken aback. He clearly hadn't expected the usually submissive me to push back. Robert, I was slapped and humiliated. For 3 years, I worked like a dog in that house, and my reward was public assault and being called a barren woman. I stood up and looked him dead in the eye. I will not apologize. I did nothing wrong. The only person who owes an apology is Eleanor. Chloe, seriously. What is wrong with you? Robert looked bewildered. How can a person change like this? How did I change? I cut him off. I changed because I realized that respect isn't earned by silently enduring abuse. Liam has made his stance clear, and I'm not going to leave him to face this family alone. Liam walked over, took my hand, and looked at his brother. We're done talking, Robert. Tell Mom she can learn how to apologize and respect my wife, or we live our separate lives. There is no third option. Robert looked back and forth between us, then at the untouched pastries, sighed heavily, and stood up. Before walking out the door, he turned back. You know, Mom, she's too proud to apologize first. Are you really going to live estranged from the family forever? If that's what it takes, yes, Liam replied calmly. It's 100 times better than letting my wife be abused. When the door closed, my legs gave out, and I almost collapsed. It's okay, Liam caught me. Was I too harsh? I immediately started regretting my words. For 3 years, I had never raised my voice at my in-laws. I felt like a different person. No, you were perfectly right. Liam looked at me with something bordering on awe. Chloe, remember this. Starting today, you don't have to walk on eggshells around anyone. Not my family, not my mother. That day, we changed our phone numbers, went to Target, and bought things to make the condo feel like a home. Liam bought a bouquet of sunflowers and put them in a vase. Sunflowers always grow toward the sun, he said. We need to do the same. That evening, we sat together on our new sofa. Liam opened his laptop, which he had barely touched in 3 years. There's something else I haven't told you, he hesitated. Since last year, a couple of college buddies and I have been building a smart home tech startup. I was waiting for things to stabilize before I told you. A startup? I sat up straight. But you're doing so well at the firm, only on paper. Liam smiled bitterly. Robert is the eldest. The family company will eventually go to him anyway. No matter how hard I work, I'm just an overpaid employee. Plus, Mom and Sarah think I only got the VP title because of nepotism, even though I do all the actual work. He paused. Chloe, if I quit my job and go all in on the startup, will you support me? I looked into his eyes. I saw anxiety, hope, and above all, firm resolution. Of course, I answered without hesitation. Whatever you decide, I support you. Liam let out a sigh of relief and pulled me in. Thank you. We've been prepping this for a year. We already cleared our first round of seed funding. I was wondering when to hand in my resignation, and now seems like the perfect time. We have some savings and there's no mortgage on this condo. But most importantly, Chloe, I want to prove that I can make you happy without the Sullivan family's money. I was touched, but naturally a bit worried. Startups are risky, but if it doesn't work out, you can always get another job. I believe in my team, Liam said. Are you ready to do this with me? I'm ready. I leaned on his shoulder. But before that, I have something to do too. What's that? I'm getting a job, I said. I can't let you carry all the financial burden. Plus, I touched my cheek. I want to prove something too. I want to prove that Chloe Sullivan isn't just a useless housewife. Liam looked at me, admiration in his eyes. So this is who my wife really is. That slap woke me up, I smiled wryly. It shattered the stupid patience I used to fool myself with for 3 years. Outside the window, the city lights were turning on. Our little temporary nest was slowly filling with warmth. Our phones were off, but I had a feeling the storm brewing at the Sullivan estate was just beginning. Eleanor would never back down this easily, and Sarah would certainly exploit the drama. A new week began. Monday morning, I was brewing coffee in the kitchen. Morning sunlight spilled through the blinds onto the island. It was a small space, but the air felt like freedom. I didn't have to wake up at dawn to prepare breakfast for the whole extended family, listen to Eleanor complain about the salt in the soup, or pretend to care about Sarah bragging about her kids' private school grades. I'm going into the office to hand in my resignation today. Liam emerged from the bedroom, looking sharp in a dress shirt and slacks, a vibrant expression on his face. I have meetings with my co-founders this afternoon. Will you be okay home alone? Don't worry. I handed him a mug. I'm sending out my resume today. Liam nodded, then added with slight concern, don't stress too much about finding a job immediately. We have enough runway. It's not about the money. I cut him off gently. I need to find myself again. 3 years ago, to be the perfect daughter-in-law, I had quit my thriving job as an interior designer. Eleanor had insisted that Sullivan wives didn't need to bow to bosses in the corporate world. I honestly believed that supporting my husband and raising kids at home was a virtue. Though the kids never came, looking back, I felt so foolish. After Liam left, I opened my dusty laptop and logged onto LinkedIn. My resume needed a massive overhaul. A 3-year employment gap was a fatal blow in my industry. As I sat there figuring out how to spin the gap, my phone rang. It was one of the few people who had my new number. My college best friend, Mia. Chloe, I swear I've been going crazy trying to reach you. Mia's voice was a mix of excitement and rage. I heard the rumors. That psycho mother-in-law of yours slapped you in front of the whole family? And Liam finally grew a spine and got you out? Where are you? Are you okay? My heart warmed. I'm at Liam's condo downtown. I'm okay. How did you know? How did I know? Your family's soap opera is all over town. Mia scoffed. That snake sister-in-law of yours posted some passive-aggressive quote on Instagram about respecting your elders with a picture of her hugging your mother-in-law. I immediately knew something went down. I called your old number, got disconnected, so I tracked down some of Liam's coworkers to get your new one. My stomach dropped. Of course, Sarah would never miss an opportunity to play the victim and drag my name through the mud. Mia, I'm really okay. How's your face? Do I need to go over there and rip that old bat's hair out? Classic Mia, always ready to fight injustice. I couldn't help but laugh. I'm fine, but I do need your help. I'm trying to get back into the workforce, but that 3-year gap. Does your firm happen to have any openings? Mia worked as an art director at a high-end interior design firm in the city. When I quit for marriage, she called me a blind fool and said I'd regret it. Absolutely, Mia's voice brightened. We're actually hiring a senior designer right now. Bring your portfolio. I'll refer you. Don't worry about the gap. Just say you took time off to start a family and now you're coming back. But I don't have kids. Taking care of family doesn't just mean kids, Mia said confidently. Say you were managing an elderly relative's estate and health care. Anyway, the Sullivans owe you. Using their reputation to get your foot in the door is the least they can do. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but it gave me an idea. After hanging up, I updated my resume. Under the employment gap, 2021 to 2024, I wrote, Estate Manager and Private Healthcare Coordinator for Family Estate. It wasn't a lie. For 3 years, I had single-handedly managed the massive Sullivan estate and nursed Eleanor through a hip surgery, simply because they refused to acknowledge it as real work. After submitting my application, I started cleaning the apartment. The place was already spotless, but I needed to move my body to calm my nerves. While mopping, the doorbell rang. I checked the peephole. It was Eleanor. She looked haggard, with dark circles under her eyes, holding a large Tupperware container. My heart skipped a beat. 3 years of ingrained fear and resentment washed over me in a split second. I took a deep breath, kept the chain lock engaged, and opened the door just a crack. Hello, Eleanor, I said calmly. Eleanor, clearly not expecting my serene demeanor, paused before forcing a smile. Chloe, I came to see how you were doing. I brought you some of my homemade chicken and dumplings. I know it's your favorite, my favorite. I scoffed internally. In 3 years, she had never once remembered what I liked. Chicken and dumplings was Sarah's favorite. Thank you, but we've already eaten. I didn't reach for the container. Liam is at work. What do you want? Eleanor's smile stiffened. I was wrong. Me losing my temper yesterday was 100% my fault. We're family. Do we really need to be this angry? Come back home. I promise I'll treat you well from now on. I promise. A lie I had heard 100 times. Eleanor, Liam made our position very clear yesterday, I said in a flat, unyielding tone. If you truly feel remorse, tell Liam directly. We have no intention of moving back to the suburbs. Eleanor's face changed, and her voice trembled. Chloe, how can you be so cold-blooded? I'm an old woman. Do you want Liam to cut ties with his own mother? You're a woman. You'll be a mother-in-law someday. How can you not understand my heart? More emotional manipulation and moral guilt-tripping. Disgust welled up inside me. Understanding goes both ways, Eleanor. I looked her dead in the eye. For 3 years, I understood your loneliness after your husband passed. I understood your high expectations. I endured every mood swing and petty criticism. But did you ever, even once, try to understand me? Did you ever think about how hard it was for someone else's daughter to adapt to your house? Eleanor stood there, dumbfounded. That slap severed the very last shred of affection I had for you, I continued. Go home. If you want to repair this relationship, learn how to respect me first. Though you might never be able to learn it. I started to close the door. Wait! Eleanor hurriedly jammed her hand into the door frame. Chloe, I'm begging you. Liam listens to everything you say. Please convince him to come back. I can't live without my son. Large tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked incredibly genuine. The old me would have caved, but today, I simply shook my head. Eleanor, Liam is a grown man. He makes his own choices. I respect my husband's decisions. I suggest you respect them too. I unlatched the chain, opened the door fully, and gestured toward the hallway. Please leave. And give the chicken and dumplings to Sarah. You know how much she loves it. Eleanor's face went instantly white. She hadn't expected me to call out her cheap lie so bluntly. Clutching her Tupperware, she turned and walked away, leaning against the closed door. My heart pounded wildly. It felt like I had used all my courage to say those words. Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from Mia. Sent your resume to HR. Interview tomorrow at 10 a.m. Getting the job is up to your skills. Good luck. I sent a hugging emoji back and texted Liam. Your mom came by. I sent her away. A few seconds later, he replied, Good job. Let's eat in tonight. I'll cook. Looking at the text, I finally felt like my new life had truly begun. By the afternoon, I received 3 interview requests, including Mia's firm. I opened my closet to pick out an outfit. The clothes were 3 years old, so the trends had shifted slightly, but luckily, classic is eternal. I chose a simple, crisp, white silk blouse and wide-leg black trousers. Standing in front of the mirror, I studied my reflection. 3 years of marriage had added a submissive softness to my eyes, but stole my edge. Yet today, after saying my piece to my mother-in-law, I felt the confident, radiant Chloe from college returning. My phone rang again. It was an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. Hello, Chloe? It's Aunt Caroline, Eleanor's sister-in-law. Here we go. The Sullivan family flying monkeys. We decided to live separately for a while to let things cool down, I said, keeping it polite. Oh, come on, you're family. What's there to cool down? Aunt Caroline's voice had that distinct, condescending tone. Don't take this the wrong way, Chloe. Your mother-in-law has a hot temper, but she's your elder. Would it kill you to just back down? Look at Sarah. She's so sweet and accommodating. Aunt Caroline, I cut her off. If you called to lecture me, I'm sorry, but I'm very busy right now. Excuse me? Look at your attitude, Aunt Caroline snapped. I'm telling you this for your own good. What do you gain by causing all this drama? Sure, Liam is taking your side now, but men are fickle. Eventually, blood is thicker than water, and he'll go back to his mother. What are you going to do then? You'll be left out in the cold. Just listen to me. That's my problem, Aunt Caroline. Don't worry about it. My voice turned ice cold. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Wait, she shouted. Listen to me. Lower your head, apologize, and go back home. Your mother-in-law promised she wouldn't interfere with you anymore if you just come back. I've heard that promise 100 times, I said flatly. I'm busy. Goodbye. I hung up and blocked the number. Soon after, other relatives started calling. The content was always the same. Know your place. Think about the family. Respect your elders. I answered everyone politely but firmly. By the end of the day, I was amazed at my own composure. Not caring about what others thought was incredibly liberating. When Liam came home, carrying bags of groceries, he smiled and hugged me. I heard you brilliantly fended off the Sullivan Alliance today. How did you know? Robert called. He said Aunt Caroline and Uncle Arthur tried to lecture you but got completely shut down. Liam sounded proud. Mom is currently at home throwing things and throwing a fit. Good. I just said what needed to be said. I helped him unpack the groceries. Did you hand in your resignation? Next month is my official last day. Liam tied on an apron. But I have massive news. We successfully secured our Series A funding for the startup, and it's a much bigger amount than we expected. That's amazing. I was genuinely thrilled. Over dinner, we discussed our future. Liam's smart home tech had great prospects. My interview prep was going smoothly. We felt like a normal young couple dreaming about the future. Chloe. After dinner, Liam looked at me seriously. Once the company scales, we might need to move the headquarters to Austin or Silicon Valley. The tech infrastructure there is much better. Would you be willing to go? I paused for a second, then nodded. I'll go. Wherever you are. Liam squeezed my hand. Leaving Chicago won't be easy, but if we stay here, the shadow of the Sullivan family will follow us forever. Changing our environment and starting fresh might be the best option. Then let's go to Austin, I said. The design market there is booming. Whatever you want. Liam beamed. It was the brightest, most genuine smile I had seen on him in 3 years. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stepped out onto the balcony and looked at the city lights. During my 3 years of marriage, I thought I was building a family, but I was just playing a role. Eleanor didn't want a daughter-in-law. She wanted an obedient servant. She needed me as a background prop to make Sarah look perfect. I had lost myself trying to please them all. That slap woke me up. My phone screen lit up. A text from Sarah from an unknown number. Chloe, it's me. Eleanor has been crying all day because you won't accept her apology. We're all family. Do you really have to be this cruel? Can't you be a little more forgiving? I read the message and scoffed. Then I replied, Sarah, since you are so understanding and forgiving, you can take over all the filial duties from now on. Just like Eleanor says, you're the perfect daughter-in-law. Good luck. I hit send and blocked the number. A cool summer breeze blew past. Tomorrow was my interview. I was going to become Chloe, the designer again. The next morning, I checked my makeup in the mirror. A perfectly ironed white silk shirt and black wide-leg slacks. It was a professional business look I hadn't worn in 3 years. My hair was tied back cleanly, my makeup subtle but sharp. My wife is going to charm all the interviewers today. Liam hugged me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. Stop, that tickles. I laughed, pulling away. Good luck today to you too. Make sure the handover at the firm goes smoothly. He kissed my cheek. Whatever the result is tonight, we're having a celebration party. At 9:30 a.m., I stood in front of the glass office building where Mia worked. Stepping into the lobby, the familiar, chaotic noise of busy corporate professionals washed over me. Chloe, Mia, looking sharp in her corporate attire, ran out of the elevator. Let's go. I'll walk you to the interview room. Is this okay? Isn't it against protocol? I hesitated. I'm the art director. It's my prerogative. Mia linked arms with me, lowering her voice. But you still have to go through the formal process. 3 interviewers. Me, Valerie, the HR director, she's tough, and the marketing manager. Just be yourself. I looked at your portfolio. It's killer. During the elevator ride, Mia gave me a quick briefing. Valerie loves pressure interviews. The marketing manager cares about commercial viability, so emphasize how your designs make money. And you know me, I'm your hype woman. Mia, seriously, thank you. Don't thank me. If you hadn't helped me with my projects in college, I would have failed out, Mia winked. Plus, I genuinely need a talented designer. You didn't just sit around for 3 years. I saw those 3D models and interior mock-ups you occasionally posted on Instagram. They're incredibly trendy. I nodded. Even after quitting, I kept taking small freelance gigs online and taught myself new rendering software to keep my skills sharp. My in-laws just assumed I was lounging around the house. The interview took place in a sunlit, glass-walled conference room. 3 people sat across a long table. Mia, Valerie, a sharp-looking woman in her 50s, and a friendly-looking marketing manager. Chloe Sullivan, take a seat. Valerie adjusted her glasses as she scanned my resume. You have a 3-year employment gap. Why is that? Here it comes. I took a deep breath and gave the answer I had prepared. Due to personal family circumstances, I stepped away from corporate work for the past 3 years. However, I never lost my edge as a designer. I taught myself SketchUp and the latest rendering tools, and completed over a dozen residential interior projects as a freelancer. If you look at my portfolio, you'll see. I pushed my iPad toward them. It was filled with meticulous designs. A friend's nursery, a remodel for an online client, and even the extensive renovation plans I had drawn up for the Sullivan estate plans my mother-in-law had dismissed and thrown away. The marketing manager swiped through the screen and nodded. This loft design is fascinating. The spatial utility is incredible. How would you pitch this commercially? Good design must combine aesthetics and extreme practicality. I answered smoothly. For example, in this nursery project, I used modular furniture that adapts as the child grows. This kind of convertible design is highly appealing to modern young couples and single professionals. The interview lasted 40 minutes. The questions ranged from technical knowledge to career planning, escalating into a high-pressure stress test. The more they asked, the more immersed I became, and the confidence I had forgotten for 3 years surged back. Finally, Valerie closed my folder. Chloe, your skills are excellent, but that 3-year gap still concerns me. If you join us, can you guarantee you'll adapt to the intense workload and late hours? Valerie, managing a large estate, coordinating healthcare, and balancing the dynamics of a demanding family requires extreme multitasking and stress management, I smiled. Time management, crisis resolution, and absolute emotional control are mandatory. I am confident that experience translates perfectly to high-pressure corporate work. Moreover, because I felt the pain of losing my career for 3 years, I am more hungry and dedicated to this position than anyone else. Under the table, Mia gave me a thumbs up. As the interview concluded, Valerie told me to wait for the results. Mia came down to the lobby to see me out. As we reached the ground floor, Mia's phone rang. Yes? What? Mia's expression hardened. Are you sure? Okay, I understand. She hung up, looking at me with a conflicted expression. Chloe, we have a problem. What's wrong? Your mother-in-law and sister-in-law just stormed the HR department, Mia gritted her teeth. They must have found out you were interviewing here. They barged in, screaming that you're a disgraceful, ungrateful daughter-in-law with a trash personality and demanding that we never hire you. A ringing sound echoed in my head, and my blood boiled. They followed me all the way here to throw a fit? Valerie called security to hold them in a reception room. But Chloe, this is fatal for your HR evaluation. Mia grabbed my arm. Come on. Let me go up there and kick those crazy women out. Riding the elevator up, uncontrollable rage filled my chest. Eleanor wasn't just ignoring my boundaries. She was actively trying to destroy my future, so I'd have no choice but to crawl back to her house in defeat. Mia, I'll handle it from here, I said calmly. My voice was so cold it surprised even me. The reflection of my eyes in the elevator mirror looked razor sharp. Some debts have to be collected in person. In the reception room, Eleanor and Sarah were sitting on a sofa. Eleanor's eyes were puffy, as if she had been crying, and Sarah was putting on a show of comforting her. By the window stood Valerie, looking intensely displeased. As we walked in, Valerie frowned. Mia, what is the meaning of this? This is a professional environment, not the stage for a family soap opera. Valerie, I am incredibly sorry for the disturbance. I stepped in front of Mia. These women are indeed my in-laws. However, their presence here has nothing to do with me or my professional interview. Chloe. Eleanor jumped up, instantly switching back to her victim persona. Please, just come home. Do you really have to publicly humiliate the Sullivan family like this to be satisfied? You are the one humiliating the family, Eleanor. I replied in an ice-cold tone. I came here for a legitimate job interview, and you tracked me down to sabotage my employment by trashing my character. Is this what you call caring for the family? Sarah quickly jumped in. Chloe, Eleanor is just worried about you. You've been a housewife for 3 years. It's too hard for you to work in the corporate world. Home is best. Eleanor even promised she wouldn't be hard on you anymore. Sarah, I stared straight at her. Just 2 days ago, she showed up at my door with homemade food, begging me to come back because she had changed. Today, the two of you storm my prospective workplace to destroy my career. I wonder who's lying. Or are you both just playing good cop, bad cop? Sarah's face went pale, caught in her own trap. Valerie was watching this absurd scene with a look of intrigue, or perhaps disdain. Valerie, I apologize again for taking up your valuable time. I bowed slightly to her, but I want to make one thing clear. My family drama has absolutely zero correlation with my professional capabilities. If this incident causes you to doubt my integrity or character, I invite the most thorough background check you can conduct. Eleanor shrieked in panics. Don't listen to her, ma'am. She's a barren woman who can't even give us a child, so she manipulated my son into abandoning his family. What kind of crazy company would hire a venomous snake like her? A heavy silence fell over the reception room. She can't even give us a child. Those words struck my heart like a dagger. Mia looked ready to explode and lunge at her, but I grabbed her arm tightly. And then, I let out a laugh. So, according to your logic, Eleanor, a woman's only value is her function as a breeding machine. I was smiling, but tears pricked my eyes. I guess that's why Sarah outranks a barren woman like me. My words touched Eleanor's deepest trigger, her absolute obsession with male heirs. I turned back to Valerie and the employees who were now peeking through the glass. Since we're airing dirty laundry, let's lay it all out. My name is Chloe Sullivan. 3 years ago, I quit my job to support my husband's family. For 3 years, I nursed my mother-in-law, managed their massive estate, and handled every family crisis. But because I couldn't conceive, I was subjected to relentless humiliation and abuse. I paused to catch my breath. Just a few days ago, at a family holiday dinner, my mother-in-law slapped me across the face in front of 20 relatives, degrading me and comparing me to her other daughter-in-law. My husband couldn't take it anymore and moved us out. I came here today to reclaim my life and my independence. And they followed me here to sabotage my job, so they could drag me back to their house to continue abusing me. I looked at Valerie. That is the absolute truth. If this company evaluates a woman trying to escape domestic abuse and become financially independent as having a character flaw, then I have no desire to work here anyway. The room was dead silent. Valerie's eyes shifted from surprise to deep thought and finally to a profound understanding. She was a woman who had climbed the corporate ladder. She knew all too well about the glass ceiling and family pressure. Chloe. Valerie spoke calmly. An employee's personal life is not the company's business, so long as it doesn't affect their work. However, this little soap opera has certainly caused a disturbance. I understand. I nodded stoically. I withdraw my application. I apologize for the trouble. No. Valerie said firmly. Interviews are interviews, and drama is drama. Your professional competency was thoroughly proven in the interview, and your family situation was just perfectly briefed to me. Our firm hires based on talent and work ethic, not the state of someone's family. She glared coldly at Eleanor and Sarah. Ladies, this is a place of business, not your living room. Leave this building immediately. Otherwise, I'm calling the police. Eleanor froze. It seemed she was in shock that her usual suburban country club manipulation tactics were completely ineffective in the real corporate world. Ma'am, you have to listen to me. This girl, security. Valerie pressed a button on the intercom. 2 burly security guards entered and, with polite but firm force, escorted Eleanor and Sarah out. As she was dragged away, Eleanor shot me a look of pure, venomous hatred. Sarah kept her head down in absolute mortification, looking for a hole to crawl into. Only Mia, Valerie, and I remained in the room. Chloe, are you all right? Valerie's tone was noticeably softer. Yes. Perfectly fine. Thank you, Valerie. I stood up straight. I apologize again for today. Nothing to apologize for. Valerie extended her hand. Surviving as a woman in the business world is hard enough without family dragging you down. I highly respect the courage it takes to walk out of hell on your own 2 feet. Be here tomorrow at 9 a.m. to fill out your onboarding paperwork. I stared blankly. Does that mean I'm hired? Valerie offered a rare, subtle smile. Mia's eye for talent was spot on. You are going to be a phenomenal designer. And regarding that 3-year gap, if you successfully manage the hellscape of that family for 3 years, isn't that proof of extreme competence in itself? Thank you, Valerie. I bowed my head deeply, with genuine gratitude. The moment Valerie left, Mia tackled me in a hug. Chloe, I knew you'd pull it off. I leaned into Mia's shoulder. My body was trembling slightly. Not from fear, but from overwhelming emotion and liberation. But your mother-in-law, Mia said worriedly. With her personality, she's never going to let this go. I know. I wiped a tear from my cheek. But I won today's battle. That's enough for now. Coming down to the lobby, I texted Liam. I got the job. Your mom and Sarah stormed the office to ruin it, but they got kicked out by security. I'll tell you everything tonight. A few minutes later, Liam called. Are you okay? His voice was tense. Yeah, I'm fine. And I won. I stepped out of the building into the glaring sunlight of the city. Liam, I realized something today. What? When you stand up straight and stand your ground, the world gets out of your way. I laughed out loud. What's for dinner tonight? I'm buying. Let's celebrate my return to the workforce. Hanging up, I watched the cars rush down the avenue and took a deep breath. The air smelled like freedom. Eleanor wouldn't give up. I knew that. But I wasn't afraid anymore. On my first day at work, Mia personally walked me to the design department. Listen up, everyone. Meet our new addition, Chloe Sullivan, senior designer. Mia introduced me to the team. She's got a rock-solid background in interior design, so don't hesitate to brainstorm and bounce ideas off her. The team clapped politely. There was a subtle curiosity in their eyes. The commotion in the lobby the other day was already an open secret in the office. My desk was by the window, bathed in sunlight. On it was a small potted succulent Mia had thoughtfully prepared. Welcome back to the trenches, Mia nudged my shoulder. Your first project is the remodel of the County Youth and Arts Center. The budget is tight, but it's a high-profile, symbolic project. Get me some initial concepts within a week. I scanned the brief. My eyes lit up. This was my specialty. 3 years of dealing with my in-laws had made me an expert at squeezing maximum spatial efficiency out of a limited budget. I dove straight into the work. At lunchtime, my phone buzzed. It was Liam. How's the first day? Absolutely amazing. Currently becoming a slave to corporate America, I joked back. How are things with your team? I miss my wife already. He sent a crying emoji. I chuckled, pocketed my phone, and headed to the cafeteria. As I stood up, I noticed a young female coworker at the next desk glancing at me. When we made eye contact, she looked startled and quickly lowered her head. It was Emma, a recently hired junior designer. She seemed shy but talented. Let's grab lunch. I'll introduce you to some people. Mia came over and pulled me away. In the cafeteria, Mia led me to a table with other female colleagues. Chloe, this is Marie from marketing, Sarah from accounting, and Rachel from HR. Marie, a sharp-looking woman in her early 40s, spoke up. The rumors flew around yesterday. That was badass. You have to play hardball with toxic in-laws like that. Exactly, Rachel agreed. If it were me, I would have called the cops. Slapping someone in public is literally assault. Sarah from accounting was a bit more cautious. Chloe, I've seen mothers-in-law like that. They aren't purely evil. They're just trapped in their own delusions. They view their kids and daughters-in-law as property. Be careful. She's definitely not the type to just give up. I nodded. I'll keep that in mind. But I'm not scared of her anymore. That's the spirit. Marie placed a piece of chicken on my tray. A woman needs financial independence to have a voice. Having a job and your own money gives you leverage. If that old bat comes to the office throwing a tantrum again, just call the cops for trespassing. Laughter erupted at the table. I buried myself in work all afternoon. My instincts came back quickly. The youth center was a remodeling of an old industrial warehouse. The space was massive, but the layout was strange, making it a difficult project. I was sketching some ideas, frustrated, when Emma approached cautiously. Chloe? Yeah? Do you have an idea? I asked gently. If it's an old warehouse, the best features are the exposed steel beams and the skylights, right? What if we didn't cover them up, but left them exposed for an industrial vibe? It preserves the building's history. My eyes widened. Keep going. Emma, gaining courage, spoke faster. The center is mostly used by kids and seniors, so industrial might feel too cold. But we could neutralize it with color and warm lighting. For example, paint the beams a bright, vibrant yellow and create vertical planters under the skylights. The structure stays intact, but it looks incredibly warm and lively. Emma, that's brilliant! I immediately started tweaking my designs based on her idea. You have a great eye. Emma's face flushed red like an apple. I only spoke up because you were actually listening to me. By closing time, the draft was 70% complete. As I packed my bag, my phone rang. An unknown number. Local Chicago area code. I hesitated, answered, and heard a familiar voice. Hello? Chloe? It's Uncle Arthur, Eleanor's younger brother, a man who loved to throw his weight around. I heard you got a job. Congratulations. Thank you, Uncle Arthur. What can I do for you? Well, it's just that. He cleared his throat. Your mother-in-law is bedridden. She's sick with stress because of you. Look, do you really have to be this ruthless to your own blood? If you just go visit her, lower your head, and apologize, this will all be over. Here we go again. I walked toward the train station, replying coldly. First of all, I didn't cause her stress. She is the one who stormed my workplace yesterday and got dragged out by security. Second, I did nothing wrong, so I have absolutely zero intention of apologizing. Third, if she's sick, she should see a doctor, not call me. Listen to you, talking back like you own the place. Uncle Arthur flared up. She's an old woman. How can you be so rigid? And I hear you've got a fancy corporate job now. You should show some respect to your elders. Sarah wants to buy her a new massage chair to help her recover. You should foot the bill as an apology. I let out a scoff of pure disbelief. So this was the real reason for the call. I haven't even gotten my first paycheck yet, Uncle Arthur, I said clearly. And when I do, I'll be busy paying my rent and living expenses. If Eleanor needs a massage chair, she can ask her perfect, dutiful daughter-in-law Sarah to buy it. Or better yet, since you're her brother, you buy it. Chloe Sullivan, are you deaf to reason? He yelled. You should be eternally grateful the Sullivan family took you in. Who do you think you are? Uncle Arthur. I stopped right outside the subway turnstiles. If the grace the Sullivan family showed me was a public slap in the face and trying to ruin my career, you can keep your grace. I don't want it. With that, I hung up and blocked the number. Before I could even put my phone away, it rang again. Aunt Caroline. Chloe. Why did you just block Arthur's number? She screamed immediately. When an elder gives you good advice, you say yes, sir, and listen. Unblock him and apologize. I took a deep breath and stepped off to the side. Do you have anything else to say? If not, I'm commuting home. Where did you learn such atrocious manners? Aunt Caroline shrieked. Let me warn you. Just because you got a little job doesn't mean you're untouchable. Without the Sullivan family connections, you are nothing. Liam is just temporarily blinded by you. Once he comes to his senses, you'll be crying on the streets. Don't expect a single drop of sympathy from us then. I don't want your sympathy, I snapped coldly. And let me give you a warning, Aunt Caroline. Making up lies to defame and harass someone is a crime. If you or Arthur keep calling my workplace or spreading rumors about my character, I will take legal action against you. Are you threatening me? Her voice trembled. It's not a threat, it's a legal fact. Oh, here's my train. I'm busy. Goodbye. I hung up and blocked her too. Stepping onto the train, a wave of profound exhaustion washed over me. It wasn't physical, It was mental. Fending off this relentless gaslighting and serving as their emotional punching bag was more exhausting than designing 10 architectural mock-ups. My phone buzzed again. I almost ignored it, thinking it was another relative, but it was Liam. "Hey, you off work?" His warm voice instantly brought tears to my eyes. "Yeah, I'm on the train. What's wrong?" "You sound upset." Liam caught it immediately. Uncle Arthur and Aunt Caroline called. After a brief silence, he asked what they said. I calmly relayed the conversations. "I'm sorry." Liam's voice dropped low. "I let them harass you again." "I wasn't harassed. I put them in their place." I smiled bitterly. "It's just pathetic. They all have the same script. You're younger, so you have to endure it. You need to compromise. They don't care that I got hurt. They only care about saving face. I care," Liam said firmly. "Chloe, I have a plan." "What plan?" "I'm calling a family dinner this weekend. Everyone," he said. "Not to apologize, but to draw the final line. To officially inform them that we live by our rules, and they live by theirs. If anyone crosses the line, they will pay for it." My heart raced. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Liam didn't hesitate. "I can't stand seeing them torment you. Let's end this once and for all." "Okay," I gritted my teeth. "Let's do it." Stepping out of the subway station, the sunset was beautiful. My phone rang again. Unknown number. But I instantly recognized Sarah's voice. "Chloe, it's me." Her voice was surprisingly calm. I paused, then asked for a time and place. "Let's meet for lunch tomorrow at a cafe near your office," Sarah said. "Don't worry. I'm not coming to start a fight. I just want to talk." "Fine." Hanging up, I could guess her motives. Either she was acting on Eleanor's orders to reel me back in, or she realized I was standing on my own 2 feet and wanted to call a truce out of fear that I'd retaliate later. Either way, I was ready. When I got home, Liam was already cooking. It smelled amazing. "Welcome back, designer Chloe Sullivan." Liam, wearing an apron, opened his arms with a smile. I hugged him and took a deep breath. I was so exhausted today. "Rest up," he kissed my hair. "I'll handle the setup for this weekend's dinner. You don't have to worry." Over dinner, we devised our plan. I booked a private room at a high-end steakhouse, Liam said. Invited Robert, Sarah, and the extended family. "Will they come?" "Of course," Liam scoffed. "Mom is terrified I'll actually cut ties, so she'll want an opportunity to fix this. Robert and Sarah will come to gauge the situation." I nodded. "What are we going to say?" 3 things. Liam counted on his fingers. 1. We handle our filial duties on our terms. I'll send money, but no moving back in, and no being summoned on a whim. 2. Zero interference in our marriage and family planning. 3. If anyone shows up at your office again or spreads rumors, we go straight to the law. The law? Like what? Liam's eyes turned cold. Criminal charges. Mom slapping you in front of the family? That's assault and battery. Storming your office? Defamation and tortious interference? I used to let it go because they were family, but I've realized that tolerating them just feeds their audacity. I felt reassured. "You've changed so much. You feel so much stronger." He took my hand. I had to change to protect the person I love. The next day at lunch, I met Sarah at a cafe. She already had 2 lattes waiting. "Sit, Chloe." She was surprisingly polite. I got straight to the point. "What do you want, Sarah?" Sarah stirred her coffee. "Eleanor cried all day yesterday because you wouldn't take her calls. Chloe, I know she crossed a line. But for my sake, can't you just take a step back?" "For your sake?" I let out a dry laugh. "Were you thinking about my sake when you were standing next to her in the HR department, calling me a barren woman?" Her face hardened. "Did Eleanor force you to post that passive-aggressive Instagram story too? Did she force you to spread rumors to the relatives?" Sarah was speechless. "Stop beating around the bush, Sarah." I picked up my cup. "The real reason you called me here is because you're terrified. If I cut ties with the family, you know Eleanor will pack her bags and move into your house. And you'll be stuck doing the toxic, solitary caretaking that I've been doing for 3 years." Caught red-handed, Sarah's eyes darted around nervously. Don't worry, I drove the nail in. She's not moving into your house. She loves that old estate too much to leave it. But she will summon you and Robert every single day to serve her. Sarah went pale. What do you mean? Let's make a deal. I set the cup down. You leave me alone, I leave you alone. We present a united front to Eleanor. I send my half of the bills, you send yours. But neither of us lives with her. If she throws a tantrum, we both ignore it. Eventually, she'll exhaust herself and give up. Sarah hadn't expected this proposition and looked flustered. But Eleanor, what does Eleanor value most in the world? I looked at her directly. Face, image, and her grandson. If you raise your son well and visit occasionally to massage her ego, she won't torture you too much. Meanwhile, I'll be showing her, my way, that Chloe Sullivan is no longer an easy target. Sarah bit her lip, thought for a long time, and finally nodded. Okay, I'll see you at the family dinner this weekend. I stood up. This dinner will be the ceremony where we draw our boundaries. If you're smart, you know which side to stand on to make your life easier. Leaving the cafe, I felt a mix of emotions. I wasn't forgiving Sarah, but the enemy of my enemy makes an excellent temporary ally. Back at the office, Emma ran up to me, practically vibrating with excitement. Chloe! The county director loved our 3D renderings. Valerie said we're getting a special bonus this month. I took the approved brief. On the front page was a handwritten note from Valerie. Brilliant integration of historical structure with modern utility. Proceed immediately. Awesome. I high-fived Emma. Let's work late tonight and finalize the technical drawings. Yes, I'm so down. Emma's eyes sparkled. By the time we finished, it was past 8 p.m. Walking out of the building, I saw a familiar car with its hazards on. It was Liam. I told you not to wait for me when I work late, I said, getting into the passenger seat. No can do. He leaned over and buckled my seatbelt. You are my VIP protectee. I laughed and leaned my head back. As the car glided through the night streets, I closed my eyes. The family dinner this weekend was going to be a bloodbath. But I wasn't afraid. I wasn't alone anymore. I had my career, my skills, and a husband who truly supported me. All the Sullivans had left were their hollow family ties and pathetic obsessions with image. Saturday evening. As the city lights flickered on, I checked myself in the mirror. A tailored black wrap dress, not too flashy, but sharp and professional. Hair in a sleek low bun, pearl earrings. Nervous? Liam wrapped his arms around my waist from behind. He was in a dark gray suit, looking incredibly solid and handsome. A little, honestly, I smiled at his reflection. But more excited, he kissed my cheek. After tonight, we are completely free. The dinner was at a private room in an exclusive downtown steakhouse. We arrived 30 minutes early to check the setup. Mom sits at the head of the table. Robert and Sarah on the left, us on the right, Liam pointed out the seating arrangement. The rest can sit wherever. I told the waitstaff not to enter unless summoned. I took a deep breath and nodded. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia. Good luck. Remember, you're going in to declare war, not negotiate. I replied with a fist emoji. At 6:30 p.m., the relatives began to trickle in. Uncle Arthur and Aunt Caroline arrived first. Seeing us, they looked awkward and uncomfortable. After getting cursed out and blocked on the phone a few days ago, sitting at the same table was undeniably embarrassing. Oh, Liam, you're here. Aunt Caroline forced a smile. Chloe, you look lovely tonight. Aunt Caroline, I gave a stiff, polite nod and closed my mouth. Uncle Arthur ignored me and spoke to Liam. Heard you quit the firm. Starting some smart home tech thing? That's right, Liam answered shortly, giving up a VP spot at the family company for a startup. Whatever. Uncle Arthur's eyes held a hint of disdain, clearly thinking Liam was an idiot for walking away from guaranteed wealth. As the room filled up, it buzzed with noise. Everyone desperately avoided the elephant in the room, loudly discussing the stock market and real estate instead. At 6:50 p.m., Eleanor finally arrived, flanked by Robert and Sarah. As soon as she walked in, her sharp eyes locked onto me. She wore a deep burgundy dress, but the dark circles and gaunt face showed how much stress she'd been under. Sarah, wearing a pale yellow dress, stuck close behind her, playing the role of the ultimate submissive daughter-in-law. When Sarah made eye contact with me, she quickly looked away. Robert walked in last, his face stiff. "Mom, have a seat right here." Liam pulled out the chair at the head of the table. Eleanor sat up straight, surveyed the room, and suddenly her eyes welled up with tears, her voice cracking. "Oh, it's been so long. The whole family is together." The air in the room instantly froze. The way she emphasized family was barbed with venom. "Since everyone is here, I'll have them bring the food," Liam said, his expression unchanging as he pressed the call button. Plates of premium steak, lobster tail, and roasted vegetables began to fill the table. It was clear Liam had spared no expense. "Wow, Liam, you really spent some money," Aunt Caroline commented, eyeing the expensive spread. "This place is a fortune per head." "It's a necessary expense," Liam said, pouring wine for the elders. "The reason I invited everyone here tonight is to make some official announcements." The room went dead silent. Everyone put down their forks. Eleanor's hands trembled slightly. Sarah fidgeted with her napkin, and Robert stared intently at his brother. "Before we get to the main point, I want to propose a toast." Liam raised his glass. "Thank you all for coming." Everyone reluctantly clinked glasses, hiding their complicated thoughts. Liam downed his wine, set the glass down, and reached across the table to grip my hand tightly. All eyes focused on our intertwined fingers. "I brought you all here to make a few things explicitly clear." Liam's voice was calm but commanded absolute authority. "First, Chloe and I are completely independent. We will live in our home. Mom, you can stay at the estate, or rent it out. Do whatever you want. The profit is all yours." Eleanor's face went pale. "Liam, I am your mother. Let me finish." "Mom." Liam cut her off sharply. "Second, my financial obligations as a son remain unchanged. I will send you $5,000 a month for living expenses, and I'll send gifts on holidays and birthdays. If you have medical bills, Robert and I will split them 50 over 50. However, there is a condition. This is only valid so long as you fully respect my wife and absolutely do not interfere in our lives." Third, Liam's sharp gaze swept the table. "As of today, Chloe's and my private life, meaning when we have children, how we have them, or if we decide never to have them at all, is entirely our decision. No one has the right to comment on it. Furthermore, I will absolutely not tolerate anyone using this issue to attack Chloe." And finally, the fourth point. This is the most important one. Liam stared directly at Eleanor. His eyes were like frost. "If anyone ever shows up at Chloe's workplace to cause a scene again, or spreads false rumors about her character behind her back, I will use every legal resource at my disposal to destroy them. That includes pressing criminal charges for assault and battery for the slap the other day, and civil suits for defamation and tortious interference. There will be no leniency." Flawless silence descended upon the private dining room. You couldn't even hear breathing. Eleanor's lips quivered, and fat tears rolled down her face. "Liam Sullivan, are you threatening to send your own mother to jail over this woman?" "I just wanted basic respect for my wife, Mom." Liam paused. "If you are incapable of giving her that, we will have to distance ourselves from you forever." "Distance yourselves?" Eleanor's voice cracked into a shriek that pierced the ceiling. "I raised you. I broke my back for 30 years. And this is what I get? You cut ties with your mother because you're blinded by some manipulative bitch? Are you even human?" "I am deeply grateful for the 30 years you spent raising me," Liam remained unshaken. "Which is why I am fulfilling my financial obligations to you. But Chloe owes you absolutely nothing. She married me because she loves me, not to become an unpaid servant to the Sullivan family." "Servant? What servant lives in a multi-million-dollar estate?" Eleanor finally lost her mind and exploded. "She lived in my house, ate my food, and couldn't even give me a grandchild for 3 years. How dare she act like a victim? She has no right to speak." "Enough, Mom." Liam kicked his chair back and stood up. I stood up with him, squeezing his hand to signal him to calm down. Then, I turned to Eleanor. My voice rang out clear and precise in the room. "You are absolutely right, Eleanor. I ate your food and slept in your house for 3 years. So, since the whole family is here, I thought it would be the perfect time to settle our accounts." I pulled a small leather ledger from my purse and opened it. Year 1 of marriage. Under your orders, I quit my job to focus on supporting the family. Let's calculate that at the base rate of a full-time estate manager in Illinois, $80,000 a year. Year 2. When you had your hip replacement surgery, I stayed in your room day and night for an entire month to nurse you. A 24/7 private registered nurse costs about $15,000 a month. Year 3. When you decided to remodel the estate, I acted as the on-site project manager for 3 straight months. Market rate for an architectural project manager is easily $10,000 a month, so that's $30,000. I stared straight into Eleanor's increasingly distorted face. Excluding the endless holiday prep and catering for your country club parties, just the major financial labor I contributed equals $125,000. If you believe I was just leeching off you and owe you a debt, I am happy to calculate my room and board right now, and then you can cut me a check for the balance of my unpaid labor. How would you like to handle this? Everyone in the room sat frozen, jaws dropping. Even Liam looked surprised that I had kept such meticulous records. Eleanor's face went from pale to purple, trembling uncontrollably. Are you pulling out a calculator to extort money from your mother-in-law? It's not extortion, it's a fact check. I closed the ledger. I used to think keeping score like this wasn't what families did. But I finally realized something. Some people don't even deserve to be called family. Chloe! Robert slammed the table and stood up. How dare you speak to my mother like that? Sit down, Robert. Liam pulled me behind him and glared at his brother. Is there a single lie in what Chloe just said? Chloe was the one who nursed Mom. Chloe managed the renovation. She handled everything for this family for 3 years. What right do you have to yell at her? Robert was left speechless, huffing in anger. Just then, Sarah muttered in a small voice. But Chloe was just staying home. Isn't managing the house just the basic duty of a stay-at-home wife? Sarah. I turned my head to her. You work a comfortable government job making decent money. How many times did you cook dinner when you got home? Who did your dishes? Who watched your kid? Eleanor did all of it for you. If domestic labor is such a noble duty for a daughter-in-law, why don't you quit your job right now and become the perfect stay-at-home wife? Why was that noble duty only forced onto me? Sarah's face turned the color of a tomato, and she shut her mouth tightly. Oh, come on, enough, Uncle Arthur intervened frantically. We share the same blood. Why are we calculating money? Chloe, aren't you being too aggressive just because Eleanor lost her temper a bit? Elders make mistakes sometimes. Mistakes? I cut him off firmly. Uncle Arthur, if my mother showed up at your office, slapped you in the face in front of your employees, called you garbage, and tried to get you fired, would you just laugh it off as an elder making a mistake in the heat of the moment? Uncle Arthur was rendered mute. Aunt Caroline, watching this, changed her target to Liam. Liam, are you really going to just sit there and watch your wife talk back to the elders like this? She has no respect. Aunt Caroline, Liam replied coldly. To May, respect is mutual. If you respect my wife, I respect you. But if you disrespect my wife, do not expect the courtesy of a nephew. Aunt Caroline's body shook with rage. Suddenly, Eleanor let out a loud wail and began to sob uncontrollably. What sin did I commit in my past life? I broke my back raising a son, and he gets bewitched by a fox and abandons his mother. I should just die. How can I live seeing this? Here we go again. When she was losing, she weaponized her tears. In the past, the moment she cried, I would bow my head in guilt, and Liam would take a step back. But today, Liam simply looked down at his sobbing mother with icy detachment. Mom, if you really wanted to die, you wouldn't be sitting here right now. You just want everyone in this room to call me a terrible son and Chloe a venomous snake. That brutally accurate truth stopped Eleanor's wailing instantly. She snapped her head up. In her eyes was uncontrollable fear and hatred. She realized that her ultimate weapon, emotional extortion using maternal love, had been completely shattered. We've said everything we came to say, Liam said, adjusting his suit jacket. From today on, Chloe and I live our own lives. Mom, Robert, Sarah, live yours. If you want to interact with us respectfully, we welcome it. But if you think you can dictate our lives or hurl insults at us, you will never see our faces again. He raised his wine glass high. With this glass, our family dinner is over. From now on, everyone fends for themselves. Liam drained the glass. The relatives, reading the room, hesitantly raised their glasses too. But Eleanor didn't move an inch. She just glared at us. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't formulate a single word. She knew perfectly well that she had been utterly, devastatingly defeated. Check. Please. Liam raised his hand to the waiter. After paying the bill with his card, he grabbed my hand firmly. Let's go. We stood up and walked toward the door. Before opening it, I looked back one last time. Eleanor was slumped in her chair like a collapsed sandcastle, staring blankly into space. Sarah was faking concern, rubbing her back. Robert was massaging his temples, looking incredibly stressed, while the relatives whispered frantically amongst themselves. That scene felt like a permanent farewell to my past. The submissive, oppressed Chloe. The suffocating, toxic marriage dynamics. And the perfect, final severing from the gaslighting hell of the Sullivan family. Stepping out of the steakhouse, the cool summer night breeze hit my face. Any regrets? Liam asked. None at all. I squeezed his hand tighter. I've never felt this light in my entire life. It might get a little more exhausting from here, he warned. Knowing Mom, she won't just surrender quietly. I know. I leaned my head on his broad shoulder. But I'm not scared anymore, because whatever happens, you'll be by my side. Always. He kissed my forehead warmly. I'll be right here for the rest of our lives. Riding home, I closed my eyes and replayed the dinner. Eleanor's tears, the relatives' accusations, Sarah's hypocrisy, Robert's anger. But what stood out most was Liam's broad back hiding me, and his firm declaration, from now on, everyone fends for themselves. That night, I paid back half the debt of that slap, with a firm, impenetrable boundary. But I knew this wasn't the end. Eleanor wouldn't be able to swallow her anger. Sarah would try to exploit the situation, and the relatives would gossip relentlessly. But who cares? I had a job to go back to, my own talents, and a husband who loved and supported me. All the Sullivans had left was their useless obsession with bloodlines and empty prestige. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. A text from Emma. Chloe! The county director saw the renderings and is obsessed. Valerie said she's pushing a massive bonus for our team. I smiled and texted back. It's all thanks to your brilliant idea, Emma. Coffee is on me Monday. 3 days after that grand dinner, I officially returned to the office. Monday morning at the weekly meeting, Valerie specifically praised our team's project. The synergy between Chloe and Emma is fantastic. The client couldn't stop raving about the concepts. Chloe, Emma, I want you two leading the County Youth Center project from blueprint to final construction. Applause filled the conference room. Emma's face turned bright red from excitement. After the meeting, Mia sneaked over and gave me a thumbs up. You're incredible, Chloe, taking charge of a core project right after coming back. Emma had a great idea, I smiled humbly. You guided it well. Mia lowered her voice. By the way, how are things with your mother-in-law? Quiet? So far, I replied, organizing the meeting notes. But knowing her, this is the calm before the storm. She's definitely plotting something. Be careful, Mia nodded. Oh, by the way, remember the college alumni meetup is this Saturday. You have to come. Everyone is dying to know how you're doing. I hesitated. After graduating and getting married, I basically cut contact with my classmates. I had too much pride to let them see the former top-of-the-class Chloe Sullivan rotting away as a stay-at-home housewife. Mia read my mind. You need to go and show them that the valedictorian has made her glorious return. Okay, I nodded. I'll go. Work filled me with a sense of accomplishment and self-worth I hadn't felt in years. Communicating with clients, revising blueprints, picking out samples the days flew by. Chloe, the client wants to expand the kids' reading area, but they can't increase the budget. Emma approached, looking worried, holding a stack of papers. Let's see. I studied the blueprints. If we knock down the wall to the first-floor storage room, we can connect it. We'll just swap the finishes for a more cost-effective alternative. While we were deep in discussion, my phone rang. Unknown number. Thinking it was a vendor, I quickly answered. Hello, is this Chloe Sullivan? A stiff, professional male voice. Yes. Speaking. This is the ER at Chicago Central Hospital. Your mother-in-law, Eleanor Sullivan, was just brought into the emergency room. Her condition is quite serious. We need a family member here immediately. My mind went completely blank. Yes. What happened? Initial diagnosis indicates an acute ischemic stroke. She's currently in the ICU. Your number was recent in her call log, so we reached out. Please inform the rest of the family. The call ended. I froze like a statue. My hands and feet turned ice cold. Chloe? Are you okay? You look terrible, Emma asked worriedly. My mother-in-law is in the hospital, I answered mechanically. A stroke. She's in the ICU. Oh my God, go. I'll pack your things. Emma hurriedly grabbed my bag. With shaking hands, I called Liam. Liam, your mom is in the hospital. A stroke. Chicago Central ICU. A half-second of dead silence on the other end. I'm on my way. Don't panic, just drive safe. Hanging up, I practically ran to the elevator. My head was a mess. Just 3 days ago, she was screaming curses at me in a restaurant, and now she's in the ICU with a stroke? Was it a real illness? Or another elaborate performance to make me the villain? When I arrived at the hospital, Liam was already in a serious discussion with the doctor. Robert and Sarah had just arrived. Sarah's eyes were already puffy. Doctor, how is her condition? Liam was asking. The doctor adjusted his tie while looking at the chart. Ischemic stroke. Luckily, she was brought in within the golden window, so her life isn't in danger, and she's past the critical phase. But she's an elderly woman with underlying hypertension. What caused her to experience such extreme stress? Why did you let the patient get so agitated? Agitated? Liam frowned. What exactly happened? The paramedic said she was at the country club patio, having a violent verbal altercation with some of the other members. She suddenly grabbed the back of her neck and collapsed. You'll have to ask her friends for the details. We looked through the glass window into the ICU. Eleanor, hooked up to countless tubes, looked pale and 10 years older. Seeing us, her eyes trembled and her lips moved, but she couldn't seem to speak. Mom! Sarah clung to the glass, wailing. Oh my God, Eleanor. How did this happen? All because of that ungrateful daughter-in-law stressing you out, you ended up like this. It was a direct, blatant shot at me. Robert also glared at me with complicated, resentful eyes. Are you happy now? Chloe? Mom is in that bed, are you satisfied? Robert? Liam cut in coldly. The doctor said she collapsed while fighting with the country club ladies. We need to find out exactly who she was fighting with and why, before you start pointing fingers. Robert paused, glancing nervously at Sarah. Sarah sniffled and defensively said, Who else would she be fighting with? Just those nosy country club gossips. Eleanor has been in a bad mood lately. She was sitting at the club, and the ladies kept interrogating her about why her second son and his wife haven't been around. Eleanor tried to make an excuse, but the ladies were whispering behind her back that she drove her daughter-in-law out because she couldn't get pregnant. She got furious and confronted them. She fought until she had a stroke just because of some whispering? Liam dug in sharply. Sarah's eyes darted around nervously. I understood the situation immediately. Knowing Eleanor's personality, there's no way she just made an excuse. She likely went to the club and trashed my name, playing the victim, saying her son abandoned her for a barren woman. Then, someone who knew the truth probably pushed back, and unable to contain her rage at being exposed, she collapsed. Liam, Mom is in this condition. Do we really need to figure out who is to blame right now? Robert tried to pressure us emotionally. Chloe, aren't you taking this too far? Robert. I opened my mouth, my voice surprisingly calm. Of course we will help pay for her medical bills. But if you're trying to pin the blame for this entirely on me, let's get the facts straight. I pulled out my phone and hit play on a voice memo. The audio from 3 days ago at the steakhouse, Eleanor's screaming abuse and my itemized billing played clearly in the hospital corridor. If necessary, I can play this for the doctor or the police, and let them decide exactly who was abusing who and who was causing the stress. A heavy silence fell over the hallway. Liam looked at me in slight surprise, not realizing I had recorded the dinner. Sarah's face went white, and Robert's jaw dropped. You? You maliciously recorded that? Sarah's voice trembled. People with nothing to hide don't fear being recorded. I put my phone away. Now, let's discuss the practical reality of her care. I suggest we hire a professional private nurse. We will split the cost 50 over 50. Liam and I both work full-time. We cannot sit by her bedside 24/7. A private nurse? Robert jumped up. Her children need to take turns caring for her. That's our duty. Who exactly is going to do that? I fired back. Sarah works at the government office. You work at the firm. Liam and I work. Or are you or Sarah going to quit your jobs to watch her in the hospital? Robert was speechless. He had clawed his way up to a middle management position at the family firm. He wasn't about to give that up. We're hiring a nurse. Liam finalized it. I know a reputable agency. A 2-4-hour live-in nurse is about $300 a day. That's $9,000 a month. Robert, you and I will each cover $4,500 a month. $4,500? Sarah gasped. That's insane. We barely have enough for our son's private school tuition. Do you have a better alternative? I stared her down. Are you going to resign? Is Robert? Sarah clamped her mouth shut, looking incredibly unhappy. Ultimately, Liam forced the agreement to hire a professional nurse. By the time we finished the paperwork and left the hospital, it was dark. Liam led me to the parking garage. Why didn't you tell me you recorded it? He asked as we got in the car. It was a split-second decision, I confessed. Before we walked into the restaurant, I figured if they tried to spin the narrative and make me the villain again, I'd need proof. Liam looked at me deeply. You really have changed. Into someone strong. He took my hand. It hurts me to see you harden like this, but I'm so damn proud of you. I leaned my head on his shoulder, exhaustion washing over me. Liam, do you think it's true? The doctor's diagnosis is real, but fighting with the country club ladies. Is it really that simple? The medical event is real, Liam sighed. But the underlying cause isn't that simple. I asked a friend who's a member there to find out exactly what went down on the patio today. I nodded. Liam seemed gentle, but in critical moments, he was incredibly sharp. As soon as we got home, I collapsed onto the sofa. My phone rang. It was Mia. Chloe, is your mother-in-law okay? We put out the immediate fire. She has to stay in the hospital for a while, I gave a brief summary. Mia paused, then spoke in a heavy voice. I was debating whether to tell you this. But you need to know. Right before your mother-in-law collapsed today, she called our HR department. I sat bolt upright. What? One of our HR reps took the call. She demanded they fire you immediately, screaming that you were a morally bankrupt bitch who abandoned her sick in-laws. Thankfully, the rep knew about the lobby incident and just ignored her and hung up. But you needed to know. A ringing sound echoed in my ears. Eleanor had been relentlessly trying to get me fired. When she failed to destroy my livelihood, she went to the country club, tried to trash my name there, got called out, and collapsed from her own fury. The puzzle pieces fit perfectly. Mia, thank you for telling me. I bit my lip. What are you going to do? Mia asked worriedly. The rep handled it this time, but next time she might call a client or do something worse. I know. I clenched my fists. This time, I'm finishing it. Hanging up, I told Liam everything. His face turned to stone. She wants to back you into a corner. We can't just stay on the defensive anymore, he said. Honey, I want to sue her. Liam looked at me in surprise. Sue? The slap in front of the family, that's assault. Calling my company to demand I be fired, that's defamation and tortious interference, I said dryly. I held back before for your sake, but now it's about my career and my survival. I'm not holding back anymore. Liam looked at me with a complex expression. Are you absolutely sure? Once you start a lawsuit, there's no going back. The moment we walked out of that steakhouse, there was already no going back. I smiled bitterly. Do you know what would have happened if she succeeded in getting me fired? I would have become completely dependent on you again, and she would have dragged me back to the estate to be her slave forever. She's not just a misguided old woman. She's purely malicious. Liam remained silent for a long time, then nodded. Okay, I support your decision. I have a friend who specializes in civil litigation. I'll connect you tomorrow. No, I said firmly. I'll handle this. I will walk into a law firm on my own 2 feet, get a consultation, and gather the evidence myself. This isn't just your fight, Liam. It's mine. Liam covered my hands with his. I respect that. The next day, I took a half-day off and visited a prominent law firm downtown. I met with a sharp, intellectual-looking female attorney in her 40s, Miss Davis. After hearing my story, she adjusted her glasses. Chloe, the situation is very clear. Slapping you in front of multiple witnesses constitutes civil battery, and we can pursue damages. Calling your employer to spread false information and demand your termination is textbook defamation and tortious interference with business relations. We can demand civil damages and a public apology. I want to file the lawsuit, I said firmly. I want to show her exactly what the legal consequences are for assaulting someone and trying to ruin their career. Miss Davis nodded. Excellent. We will take the case. Evidence gathering is key. Witness testimonies, any medical records of the swelling, the recording of the dinner, and testimony or phone logs from your HR department. I have the audio recording of the dinner, and I can get the phone logs from HR, I said. Audio recording? Fantastic. Miss Davis smiled. Before filing the actual lawsuit, let's send a cease and desist letter via certified mail. It will include a demand for a public apology and $50,000 in emotional and punitive damages. If she doesn't comply, we file the suit immediately. It's an ultimatum. Leaving the law firm, the bright sunlight poured down. Choosing to protect myself within the boundaries of the law felt incredibly liberating. Right then, Sarah called. Chloe. Eleanor regained consciousness. She wants to see you. Her voice sounded exhausted. The doctor said she needs absolute rest. Please, just this once. Can you yield to her? Sarah, do you know that Eleanor called my HR department yesterday to try and get me fired? I asked coldly. Dead silence on the other end of the line. You knew. Yes, I scoffed. So stop giving me this yield to her nonsense. I'm not her biological daughter, and I have zero obligation to tolerate her abuse. But she's lying in a hospital bed. Do you have to be this heartless? Sarah's voice trembled. I'm heading to the hospital now. I cut her off. I have something very important to tell her. I hung up and caught a cab. During the ride, I texted Liam. Your mom asked for me. Heading to the hospital. I'm going to tie up loose ends. Don't worry. I won't lose my temper. Liam replied instantly. I'm on my way too. Meet you in the lobby. Eleanor had been moved from the ICU to a regular private room. She had an oxygen tube under her nose, breathing heavily. When she saw me, her eyes darkened, and she turned her head away. Eleanor. I walked to the side of the bed and set down a fruit basket. How are you feeling? She didn't answer. Robert and Sarah stood nearby, looking extremely tense. You don't have to speak. I'll just say what I came to say. I pulled up a guest chair and sat down. Yesterday afternoon, you called my company's HR department and demanded I be fired, didn't you? Eleanor flinched. Don't bother denying it. The company has the call logs, I continued calmly. Furthermore, the slap at the family dinner, I have dozens of witnesses, and I recorded the audio. Because of these 2 incidents, I hired a lawyer today and initiated legal action. You're suing your own mother-in-law? Eleanor forced the words out, her voice a raspy hiss. I nodded. Within a day or 2, a formal cease and desist and demand letter from my lawyer will arrive at this hospital. If you post a formal apology in the family group chat and pay $50,000 in damages, I am willing to hold off on filing the lawsuit in court. If you refuse, I'll see you in civil court. Chloe, are you out of your mind? Robert exploded. Mom is lying in a hospital bed and you're talking about lawsuits? Robert. I glared at him fiercely. She is alive, which is why I can sue her. If her plan had worked yesterday, and I was fired, out on the street, and fell into a deep depression, were you going to take responsibility for my life? Robert, intimidated by my cold glare, stepped back. I locked eyes with Eleanor again. Eleanor, for 3 years, I treated you as an elder and endured everything. But you mistook my patience for weakness and my respect for submission. That ends today. You hit me, so I'm holding you liable. You tried to ruin my career, so I am taking legal action. If you ever cross me again, I will drag you through the legal system until you learn how to respect other human beings. Eleanor's body shook with rage, and the heart monitor began to beep faster. Chloe, stop it. Sarah tried to intervene. You aren't exempt either, Sarah. I looked at her. If you post any more passive-aggressive Instagram stories about me, or spread rumors to the relatives, I will sue you for defamation as well. You should look up the legal penalties for libel. Sarah's face went white, and she clamped her mouth shut. At that moment, Liam opened the door and walked in, holding a folder. Mom, this is the contract for the private nurse. I've signed it, and Robert and I are splitting the cost. He placed the folder on the nightstand. The doctor said you need to be hospitalized for at least 2 weeks. We'll visit in shifts, but the nurse will be handling your primary care. Rest well and don't overexert yourself. How could you? Eleanor was so consumed by anger and despair, she couldn't finish her sentence. We're busy, so we'll be leaving now. Liam took my hand. Mom, make sure you sign for the certified mail from the lawyer when it arrives. Think carefully about your options. The moment we walked out of the hospital room, I let out a long breath I didn't know I was holding. Say everything you needed to say? Liam asked. Yeah, I nodded. I feel so incredibly relieved. Good job, he smiled warmly. I told the lawyer to send the letter out immediately tomorrow. Also, I had my buddy from the country club spread the actual truth about what happened on the patio yesterday. I stopped walking in shock. You did? But you know how much your mother values her reputation there. Liam's eyes flashed with cold resolve. Exactly. She values her fake prestige more than anything. I destroyed the false narrative she was trying to spin. I looked at the man beside me, realizing he was far more ruthless and reliable than I had ever known. Let's go home. He wrapped his arm around my shoulders. What do you want for dinner? Should I make chicken parmesan? Sounds perfect. I hugged his waist. But honey, I think I've become really vicious. Kindness should only be given to people who deserve it. Liam kissed my forehead. Giving kindness to people who don't deserve it just makes you a doormat. Chloe, you haven't become vicious. You've just grown up. He was right. I had grown from a submissive daughter-in-law into an independent adult capable of defending and counterattacking. And this was just the beginning of the war. 3 days after the demand letter was sent, Robert called Liam in a rage. Liam, did you know Chloe sent Mom a formal legal demand letter, and you just let her do it? What kind of monster are you? Robert's shouting was so loud I could hear it clearly from the couch. Liam put the phone on speaker, set it on the coffee table, and continued typing on his laptop. Chloe is an independent adult. She has the right to take legal action against anyone trying to ruin her life, Liam answered nonchalantly. It doesn't matter if it's Mom or anyone else. What kind of nonsense right is that? Robert roared like a wild animal. Mom is in the hospital and you don't even visit. You just send lawyer letters. The ladies at the club are whispering that you two drove Mom to a stroke. Well, her blood pressure definitely spiked. Liam stopped typing. But we didn't cause it. She caused it when her malicious actions were exposed. Robert, do you want to hear the actual rumors spreading around the country club? A suffocating silence fell over the phone. Mom slapped Chloe in front of the whole family, stormed Chloe's office to ruin her job, got dragged out by security, and then tried to lie about it at the club. Everyone knows now. You think people feel sorry for her? They're whispering that karma finally caught up to her. Shut your mouth! Robert shouted in a panic. Is there a law that says only Mom gets to play the victim and spread rumors? Liam's voice showed zero emotion. I just delivered the facts. Robert, I'll give you 2 options. 1. You convince Mom to accept the terms of the demand letter. She posts an apology in the family group chat and pays Chloe the $50,000. If she does, it ends there. 2. She keeps fighting and we take it to court. Then Mom will have a civil judgment against her for assault and tortious interference, and that public record will spread everywhere. You know how much Mom cares about her image. You decide which is better for her. Click. Robert aggressively hung up the phone. I sat on the sofa, looking at Liam. Isn't $50,000 too low? It's not about the money. Liam moved to sit next to me. It's about the principle. Her paying the money and writing the apology means she officially admits defeat and acknowledges her wrongdoing. If she refuses to the bitter end, we go to court and demand $500,000. I nodded. But knowing Eleanor's arrogant personality, I knew she wouldn't apologize easily. As expected, Sarah called the next day. Chloe. Eleanor saw the letter and tore it up. Her voice was thick with exhaustion. She said she'll fight you in court to the bitter end. Please, Chloe, can't you just take a step back? This is a disgrace to the family. We're becoming a laughingstock. I am not the one disgracing the family, Sarah, I said while reviewing a blueprint, holding the phone with one hand. The family became a laughingstock when Eleanor slapped me at dinner, and it became an absolute comedy when she threw a tantrum in my office lobby. I am simply using legal channels to protect my rights. Why is that wrong? But suing family. If you really wanted to de-escalate this, you should be convincing Eleanor, not me. I cut her off. $50,000 is pocket change to the Sullivan family, and how hard is it to type, "I'm sorry" in an iMessage chat? I gave her an incredibly generous out. Sarah fell silent for a long time. If you can't convince her, I'll see her in court. I drove the final nail in. A judge's ruling is on a completely different level than country club gossip. I'll show her exactly how her precious reputation gets shattered. Hanging up, I threw myself back into my work. The youth center remodeling was proceeding smoothly and had reached the construction phase. Emma and I were on site every day, picking materials and checking traffic flow. It was a dusty construction site, but my heart soared. Seeing the blueprints in my head turn into a three-dimensional reality was an incomparable thrill. Chloe, what do you think of this floor tile color? Emma brought over a sample. Not bad, but the light gray next to it might make the space feel bigger, I compared them. And for the kids' reading area, order mats that are 1.5 times thicker than standard. Safety is our top priority. While we were deep in discussion, Mia called me, sounding panicked. Chloe, your mother-in-law has completely lost her mind. Mia's voice was shaking. I don't know how she got the number, but she just called the county director in charge of the youth center project. My vision blurred, and rage shot straight to the top of my head. The county director? Yes, the lead client, Mia yelled. She told the director that you are a morally bankrupt, horrific person, so the project you're leading will inevitably be a disaster. She demanded they remove you from the project immediately. My grip on my phone tightened so hard my knuckles turned white. Eleanor was determined to destroy me. Luckily, the director is a reasonable person and immediately called Valerie to verify the situation. Mia continued. Valerie is furious. This puts the firm's reputation on the line. She expects you to handle this flawlessly. What are you going to do? Mia, tell Valerie I will fix this perfectly. I forcefully suppressed my boiling anger. I will go directly to the county director's office, apologize formally, and clear up the misunderstanding. And then, I gritted my teeth. I am gathering all this evidence and adding a claim for intentional interference with prospective economic advantage. This is malicious career sabotage. I will make her pay dearly. That afternoon, Emma and I rushed to the county offices. The director was a sharp-looking woman in her early 50s. Director, I sincerely apologize for allowing my personal family matters to cause a disturbance for the county. I bowed deeply before her desk. I have an ongoing conflict with my mother-in-law, and she acted out of spite to interfere with my work. I take full responsibility. The director waved her hand and offered me a cup of warm tea. Chloe, please sit. I've heard the gist of it. Honestly, I have a lot of respect for you. Escaping a toxic in-law situation like that and building your career is incredibly tough. I widened my eyes in surprise. I'm a woman, and I was a daughter-in-law once too, she smiled warmly. When I got that phone call, my first thought was that it was absurd. If a daughter-in-law is truly terrible, you confront her or her company directly. Why sneakily call the client to sabotage the project? So I called Valerie. My nose stung. Thank you so much for understanding. However, the director's expression turned strict. You need to pull this up by the roots. I am being flexible this time, but if this were another, more rigid client, your firm's contract could have been terminated on the spot. For a designer, reputation is your lifeblood. I will keep that in mind. I nodded deeply. I have already retained counsel and am taking legal action. I will ensure this never happens again. Glad to hear it. She smiled again. By the way, regarding the blueprints, the idea for the kids' reading area is phenomenal. The mayor himself praised it. Leaving the county office, I breathed a sigh of relief, but the cold fire of anger still burned in my chest. When I got home, Liam was already back from work. His face was grim. "You heard?" I asked. "One of my startup investors is golf buddies with the county director. He told me it'd be best to resolve this quickly." Liam hugged me. "I'm so sorry, Chloe." "She hurt you again." "I'm not hurt. I'm just disgusted." I buried my face in his shoulder. How much must she hate me to try so desperately to take everything from me? "She's terrified because she can't control you anymore," Liam consoled me. "When you were trapped in the estate, she could mold you however she wanted. But now you're financially independent and confident. She hates admitting that her petty power is useless against you." He was right. She wanted to destroy what she couldn't control. "Liam, I have something to do." I looked up. "What is it?" "I'm exposing the truth in the family group chat," I said coldly. "Not to complain. To notify them. I'm going to lay out exactly what crimes Eleanor committed and what legal actions I am taking, so none of them can play the victim or blame me." Liam thought for a moment, then nodded. "Do it." That night, I drafted a long, dry, factual message in iMessage, attaching screenshots of the phone logs from HR, the call records to the county director provided by my lawyer, and a photo of the cease and desist demand letter. I sent it to the Sullivan Extended Family Group chat, which had over 20 relatives. The chat exploded instantly. Aunt Caroline was first. "Chloe, are you crazy? Eleanor is in the ICU, and you post this?" Uncle Arthur chimed in. "This is a family disgrace. Delete this immediately." Another aunt added, "Oh, Chloe, she's an old woman. She made a mistake out of concern for the family. You need to be the bigger person and forgive her." I scoffed at the messages. Predictable. Regardless of the facts, regardless of how malicious her crimes were, their logic always defaulted to, "She's the elder, so you have to endure it." I replied immediately. "Aunts and uncles, I did not post this to seek sympathy or to vent. I am simply clarifying the facts. First, Eleanor's continuous interference with my employment is a serious crime that threatens my livelihood. Second, I have already handed all this evidence over to my attorney, and we are proceeding with legal action. Third, if this happens even one more time, I will not hesitate to file criminal charges with the police. The person disgracing this family is not me, it is Eleanor, who chose to harass my workplace." The chat went dead silent for several minutes. Then, an entirely unexpected message popped up. It was Robert. "Everything Chloe posted is true." Mom slapped Chloe at the restaurant, stormed her office, and called her clients to spread rumors. I tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. In this matter, I am 100% on Liam and Chloe's side. This was a nuclear bomb. Even Liam looked shocked. Soon after, Sarah's message appeared. "Eleanor really crossed the line this time. Chloe, I'm sorry for taking her side before. I put my phone down and assessed the situation. Robert and Sarah hadn't suddenly found their moral compass. They were opportunists. Seeing that Eleanor had left undeniable proof of illegal activity, and that the family opinion was shifting, they quickly cut their losses and aligned with me." Robert then sent a private text to Liam. "Liam, Mom went too far. I'll testify for you if needed. Sue her or whatever. It's up to you. But about Mom's medical bills." Liam texted back. "We're still splitting the medical and nursing bills 50/50. But any legal settlements or damages are Mom's responsibility alone. You understand, right?" Liam put his phone down and smirked at me. "My brother and his wife just flip sides." "Expected." I replied calmly. "They're bats. At least now. None of the relatives can openly defend Eleanor." While we were talking, my phone rang again. An unknown number. "Hello? Is this Chloe Sullivan?" "Yes. This is Dr. Miller, Neurology, at Chicago Central." The doctor's voice was quite serious. "Your mother-in-law became extremely agitated today, causing her blood pressure to spike dangerously. We had to administer emergency sedatives. She kept screaming your name from her bed, asking if you were trying to kill her with stress." I gripped my phone tightly. Dr. Miller, I understand the family dynamics are tense, but I have never intentionally provoked her. She slapped me and tried to ruin my career, so I was forced to take legal action through my attorney. I understand the gist of it, Dr. Miller sighed. I'm calling because the patient's emotional stability is absolutely critical to her recovery right now. If she remains in this highly agitated state, she is at a very high risk for a secondary, massive stroke. If that happens, it could be fatal or leave her permanently incapacitated. I remained silent. I hated Eleanor, but I didn't want her to die or become a vegetable right this second. I understand, Dr. Miller, I finally said. I will not visit her personally or do anything to provoke her. But because of her medical condition, I cannot abandon my right to legally defend myself. The legal procedures initiated by my attorney will continue as planned. Dr. Miller sounded relieved. I understand. Thank you for handling this reasonably. I just wanted to inform you of the medical risks, so you are aware of her precarious state. Hanging up, I rubbed my temples. Liam, Doctor. Miller said if she gets too agitated, she might have a second, massive stroke. Am I pushing too hard? Seeing me waver, Liam grabbed both my hands. Chloe, kindness requires boundaries. If you drop the lawsuit and submit to her now because you're scared she might have a stroke, she will use her health and her life as a hostage to control you forever. The ultimate form of gaslighting is using one's own life as a weapon. His words hit home. Eleanor had pulled her ultimate trump card, the threat of her own death. So what do we do? I asked. We keep moving forward, Liam said firmly. But let's talk to Miss Davis and adjust the strategy slightly. We send a second demand letter stating that if she posts a public apology in the family chat and signs a legally binding non-contact agreement regarding you and your workplace, we will temporarily suspend the lawsuit. We give her an out, but we hold all the cards. That's a good idea. I nodded. It secured our goal while providing a tactical retreat for her. The next day, I consulted with Miss Davis, and the second demand letter was dispatched to the hospital. If a public apology is not posted in the family chat within 3 days and a non-contact agreement is not signed, the suspension is revoked and the lawsuit is filed immediately. Liam posted a copy of the letter in the family chat. Mom, this is the second letter sent to the hospital today. This is our final offer. Apologize and sign the agreement, and we drop it. Refuse, and we go to court. The choice is yours. The group chat was silent. Everyone was holding their breath, waiting to see how this brutal war would end. 3 days passed. Eleanor did not post an apology. But surprisingly, she didn't cause a scene or throw any more tantrums either. She lay quietly in her hospital bed. According to Robert, when he or Sarah visited, she kept her mouth shut and just stared at the ceiling. According to Liam's friend, the ladies at the country club no longer pitied Eleanor. They were terrified of her and avoided her. They didn't want to get involved with her toxic temper. The reputation and prestige she had fought so hard to protect had been completely obliterated. Meanwhile, my daily life was incredibly peaceful and productive. The youth center remodel was progressing rapidly. The weekend arrived, the day of the college alumni meetup Mia had mentioned. I stood in front of my walk-in closet mirror. An elegant black silk dress, sophisticated makeup, the timid, dowdy daughter-in-law who walked on eggshells a month ago was completely gone. My eyes sparkled with confidence. My wife is stunning, Liam hugged me from behind. Hurry up, you'll be late. See you later. I smiled brightly. The alumni gathering was in a private room at an upscale dining bar downtown. As I opened the door, Mia was the first to run over and hug me. Chloe, you made it. My old classmates swarmed around me. Wow, Chloe, you look amazing. I heard you're back in design. That's so badass. You were the undisputed top of our class. I was so sad thinking you were just wasting your talent. The genuine praise and welcoming atmosphere warmed my heart. This recognition and camaraderie were parts of my true life that I had suppressed for 3 years. Chloe, I heard about your in-laws through the grapevine. A female classmate carefully took my hand. You did the right thing. Cutting ties with toxic people like that is the only answer. Thank you. I raised my glass of champagne to the room. No matter what kind of hellish situation we find ourselves in, Let's never lose ourselves. Cheers! Cheers! Everyone clinked their glasses. That night, for the first time in years, I laughed freely, talked loudly, and drank happily. It felt like I was being compensated for the 3 years of youth I had lost. As the party was winding down, our former class president pulled me aside. "Chloe, my firm is looking for an executive design director right now. We'd love to have you. We can match this salary." He discreet showed me a number on his phone. My eyes widened. "That much? You're worth it," he said seriously. "I still haven't forgotten your senior thesis project. Chloe, please don't let your talent go to waste." When I got home, I excitedly told Liam about the offer. "Are you going to take it?" Liam asked, taking my coat. I'm going to think about it." I leaned against his shoulder. "I love my current firm. Valerie believes in me, Mia is there, and my junior partner Emma is great. More than anything, I want to see the youth center project through to the end. Whatever you decide, I'm 100% on your side." Liam kissed my forehead. The night was late, but I couldn't fall asleep easily. Eleanor's silence, the shift in my in-laws' attitudes, the recognition at work, the warm welcome from my friends, it all felt like a dream. The red handprint on my cheek had faded long ago, but the scars on my soul were finally beginning to heal with fresh, new skin. I knew the war with Eleanor wasn't completely over. Her silence now wasn't an admission of defeat. She was just hunkering down because she was out of weapons. That quiet silence was broken exactly a week later. My daily life had been smooth. The youth center project was nearing completion, and the kids' reading area had turned out beautifully. Liam's startup secured a major partnership with a tech conglomerate. He was incredibly busy, but always came home early to have dinner with me. Saturday night, the peaceful living room was shattered by the loud ringing of Liam's phone. The screen read Robert. "Yeah, Robert," Liam answered, his expression instantly hardening. "What?" "Okay, I'm on my way." He hung up and quickly grabbed his jacket. "Chloe." Mom collapsed. My heart sank. "What?" "She's already in the hospital. She complained of dizziness last night, collapsed, and they just moved her to the emergency ICU. The doctor thinks it's a secondary stroke." When we arrived at the hospital, Robert and Sarah were sitting pale-faced outside the ICU doors. "Robert, what happened?" Liam demanded. Robert pulled at his hair in distress. "I don't know. The nurse said she ate dinner fine, and then suddenly she couldn't breathe and just collapsed." The red light above the ICU doors glowed eerily. The hallway was terrifyingly quiet. Sitting in the plastic chair, my feelings were complicated. I resented and hated Eleanor, yes, but seeing her hovering between life and death in the ICU left a bitter taste in my mouth. An hour later, Dr. Miller emerged, looking exhausted. "We stabilized her. She's past the immediate crisis." Everyone breathed a collective sigh of relief. But Dr. Miller's face remained grave. "However, the prognosis this time is much worse. There is a high probability of severe paralysis on her left side. She will require extensive, painful rehabilitation. Furthermore, her blood work showed that for the past few days, she has been secretly spitting out her blood thinners and blood pressure medication. That is the direct cause of this secondary stroke." "Spitting out her medication?" The four of us were shocked. "Why? Why would she do that?" Robert asked, his voice shaking. Elderly patients who experience severe depression or extreme stress sometimes refuse medication out of a sense of despair or giving up. "Doctor," Miller said firmly. This was clearly a lack of will on the patient's part. Going forward, the family must be incredibly diligent with her care. She won't even be able to use the restroom by herself. Eleanor was moved to a step-down unit. Through the glass window, we saw her hooked up to machines, lying as lifeless as a corpse. The domineering, violent matriarch of the Sullivan family who controlled everyone with an iron fist was gone. All that remained was a frail, helpless old woman. Robert walked over to me with heavy steps. "Liam. Chloe. What do we do now?" "We have to hire a 24/7 full-time nurse." "We will," Liam said firmly. "We'll split the cost down the middle, like we agreed." "It's not just about the money," Robert sighed deeply. "Mom will want to see her kids. You too." Could you come visit her on the weekends, just to check in on her? Liam looked at me. I knew what that look meant. He was giving me the power to decide. I stared at the old, sick mother-in-law through the glass. The woman who slapped me, trampled on my dignity, and tried to destroy my career. But now, she was just a pathetic patient gasping for air through a tube. I slowly nodded. Okay, Robert. We'll come visit on the weekends. This wasn't because I had forgiven Eleanor. It was out of basic human compassion. From that day on, Liam and I visited Eleanor's room for about 30 minutes once or twice a week. We researched the best rehab facilities and paid for top-tier private nurses, but there was no emotional connection beyond that. A month later, Mia called me out to a cute cafe near the office. "Chloe, how is your mother-in-law?" Mia asked, sipping her coffee. "She's at a rehab facility." I stirred my tea with a spoon. "The doctors say it'll be a miracle if she regains enough mobility to feed herself or use the bathroom alone." Mia hesitated, then asked carefully, "Be honest, do you still hate her?" "I do," I answered plainly, not hiding it. But spending every day consumed by hatred for a half-paralyzed old woman whose bodily functions are managed by a nurse. It's a waste of my emotional energy. I just want to live my life. That is the perfect answer. Mia squeezed my hand. That's what I love most about you. You love fiercely, and when you hate, you crush them. But you never let that hatred consume you. I smiled. Because I have way more important and busy things piling up in my life than hatred. It was true. My life was soaring. The County Youth Center project was completed and received massive acclaim from the local community. It was even nominated as a finalist for the city's Urban Space Design Award of the Year. Liam's startup finalized its acquisition deal with a major tech firm, experiencing explosive growth. He promised that once the project wrapped up, we would finally take our delayed honeymoon. Perfect peace and happiness had arrived in the aftermath of the storm. 3 months after Eleanor's stroke, Robert called us to the old Sullivan estate. "As you know, Mom's condition isn't improving much," Robert said, washing his face with his hands. "The doctors say it's better for her mental health to be discharged for at-home care. So I'm thinking of bringing her home." "Which home?" Liam frowned. "Back here, to the estate," Robert answered, avoiding eye contact. "I'm thinking of moving in here to take care of her." "Did Sarah agree to that?" I asked sharply. Robert cleared his throat. "Well, Sarah is completely against it. She says she works, has a kid to raise, and can't possibly care for a half-paralyzed mother-in-law on top of that. She threw a fit. So, Liam, Chloe, since Mom can't do anything by herself now, I was hoping we could take turns." "You're not talking about taking turns. You're trying to dump the entire weekend caregiving burden on us." Liam hit the nail on the head. No, I'll take care of her during the week after work. I just need you guys to come for the 2 days on the weekend. Feed her, change her diapers," Robert stuttered. "We'll pay for the private nurse to cover the weekends," Liam cut him off coldly. "I'll cover the cost entirely. Mom gets anxious around strangers. She wants her family's touch," Robert pleaded. "Then there's no solution." Liam drew a hard line. "Robert, we are more than happy to pay the medical bills and fund the nursing care. But coming here every weekend to act as Mom's orderly is absolutely impossible. We have jobs, and we need our weekends to rest. More importantly," he turned to look at me, then continued. "You know exactly what Mom did to Chloe. Chloe might be a saint, but how could she smile and change the diapers of the woman who slapped her and tried to ruin her livelihood? That is far too cruel to ask of her." Robert was speechless, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. "Robert," I spoke up calmly, "I can visit Eleanor and keep her company. But I cannot spoon-feed her or bathe her. Not because I'm cold-hearted, but because I simply cannot do it. Every time I get close to her, I vividly remember the hand that struck my cheek and the abusive words she used to try and push me off a cliff. Forcing that interaction is bad for her mental health, and mine." Robert stared at me for a long time, then let out a deep sigh. "You're right, Chloe. I was asking too much. I'll figure something else out." While he stepped away, Liam squeezed my hand. "Thank you for being honest, Chloe. I'm done forcing myself to play the role of the good daughter-in-law." I leaned my head on his shoulder. "I don't have to hate her, but I don't have to love her either." This safe distance is for the best. Ultimately, Robert hired a 2-4-hour live-in nurse to stay at the estate. He stopped by every day after work to check on her, and Sarah only very occasionally showed her face with their son. Liam and I visited the estate once every other week, brought some fruit, sat for 30 minutes, and left. This cool but safe and peaceful distance was the optimal balance our family had found. As autumn deepened, news arrived that my design project had won the Silver Prize at the Urban Space Design Awards. On the night of the ceremony, I wore a dazzling silver evening gown and confidently walked up to the stage under the brilliant spotlight. The moment the intense beam hit my face, the thrill of having all the tears, sorrow, and fierce struggles of the past 3 years validated washed over me. Please share a few words, designer Chloe Sullivan. The MC handed me the microphone. I looked down at the audience. In the very front row, dead center, Liam sat with a massive smile, waving at me. Next to him were Valerie, Mia, and my junior partner, Emma. Everyone I loved and who supported me was looking up at me. Thank you. My voice trembled slightly. To me, this award is more than just a trophy. It is a lifeline that saved my life. The hall fell dead silent. 3 years ago, I gave up my career and my identity because I foolishly believed that a woman's greatest happiness was protecting her family and being the perfect wife and daughter-in-law. But after 3 years of endurance, standing on this stage today, I finally realized the truth. A woman's true happiness does not come from her title within a family, but from standing firmly on her own 2 feet as herself. Thunderous applause erupted from the audience. To my husband, Liam, who gladly became my shield in my darkest, most desperate moments, and held my hand as we walked out of hell together, I dedicate this honor to you. I could see Liam's eyes glistening. I also want to deeply thank my colleagues who gave me the chance to soar again. I took a deep breath. And finally, to the Chloe of the past, who was endlessly weak and broken, but somehow found the courage to stand back up. Thank you. To everyone here, no matter what trials you face, no matter what violence or oppression tries to suffocate you, never lose yourself. Because the only person who has the right to decide who you are is you. Deafening cheers and applause filled the venue. Coming off the stage, Liam was waiting for me with a massive bouquet of sunflowers. The best wife and the best designer in the world, he kissed me deeply on the forehead. That night, we drank celebratory champagne at a nice lounge until late. Riding in an Uber back home, I looked out at the beautiful Chicago skyline. Honey, I've been thinking about something, I whispered. What is it? I want to strike out on my own. Open an interior design studio under my own name, specializing in remodeling older residential spaces and improving public community areas. I leaned on his shoulder and met his eyes. I want to show women who are dreaming of a change at the edge of a cliff, just like I was, that changing your space can change your life. Liam's eyes sparkled like stars. That is a perfect plan. I support you 100%. I'll provide the seed capital and the lease deposit, and you? No, I smiled, squeezing his hand. This time I want to do it entirely on my own from start to finish. I need your objective business advice and emotional support, not your financial backing. Of course, Liam smirked. I will always be your dedicated backup team. 3 months later, Chloe's Spaces, a small interior design studio, opened its doors on a quiet street in River North. It wasn't flashy, but it was the warmest, coziest space in the world. My first client was a 40-year-old divorced woman referred by Mia. I want to erase every trace of my ex-husband and create a safe, warm sanctuary just for me, she said with a bitter smile. I want to forget the past and start fresh. I know that feeling all too well. I warmly held her hands and smiled brightly. I will help you. Let's design the most beautiful new beginning in the world together. Word of mouth spread, and the studio quickly established itself. My days were incredibly busy, but I was soaring with happiness. Eleanor's condition also improved, slowly but surely. With the nurse's help, she could now feed herself. And though her speech was slurred, she could stutter out her thoughts. When we visited the estate on weekends and brought fruit, she would look at me with a crooked mouth and ask, Che, Chloe, W work. Good? Yes. The studio is doing great. Make sure you work hard on your physical therapy, Eleanor. I would peel an apple, place it in her hand, and she would nod, her eyes welling with tears. The vicious, cruel energy in her eyes was completely gone, replaced only by deep regret and a quiet, almost ignorant resignation. That winter, we gathered at the old estate for a New Year's Eve dinner for the first time in a year. Sitting in her wheelchair in the middle of the living room, the left side of her body paralyzed, Eleanor's color actually looked decent. Robert and Sarah brought out prime rib and roasted vegetables from the kitchen, while Liam and I prepared fine wine and a cake. The atmosphere, compared to the horrific steakhouse dinner a year ago, was slightly awkward but vastly warmer and more peaceful. During the meal, Eleanor suddenly opened her mouth, her speech slurred but distinct. "Chloe. I am sorry." The clinking of silverware stopped, and silence fell over the table. I was wrong. Large tears fell from Eleanor's eyes, rolling down into her lap. "You are a good daughter." I quietly stared at this old woman in the wheelchair, crying her eyes out the woman I had once hated enough to want to tear my own soul apart. The hatred had washed away from my heart long ago. It wasn't that I suddenly felt a surge of loving affection for her, but at least the sharp-edged fury was gone. "It's all in the past, Eleanor." I picked a piece of tender meat and placed it on her plate. "The new year is here. Focus on your rehab and just live peacefully." Yes. Live peacefully. Eleanor sobbed like a child, nodding her head. After dinner, Liam and I stepped out onto the estate's balcony as midnight approached. In the distance, fireworks celebrating the new year lit up the night sky. "It's already been a year." Liam hugged me warmly from behind. "Feels like 10 years to me." I leaned comfortably against his chest. "In 1 year, I was reborn from an oppressed slave of my in-laws into the CEO of my own studio. Sometimes I think, if she hadn't slapped me that day, maybe I'd still be rotting in this house, living like an emotionless zombie. Maybe I should be grateful for that slap." "What are you talking about?" Liam gripped my shoulders and firmly shook his head. "The person you need to be grateful to is the Chloe of that day, who had the courage to take that horrific abuse, not break down, and stand up on her own. And maybe be a little grateful to me, who fought alongside you." At Liam's witty remark, I laughed out loud and hugged his waist tight. "Yes, I'm most grateful to you. You are the greatest luck of my life." Colorful fireworks exploded continuously in the sky. I thought back to exactly who I was a year ago. The Chloe who cried silently in injustice after being slapped. The Chloe who fled in the middle of the night with a suitcase to a strange condo. The Chloe who fought fiercely in the hospital hallway against the mother-in-law trying to ruin her career, resolutely preparing a lawsuit. All those tears, injustices, and desperate struggles had stacked up to create the solid, radiant me standing here today. "Honey, I'm thinking about writing a book about our story," I whispered, looking up at the fireworks. "Writing a book?" "Yeah. For the countless women who are silently suffering right now under suffocating marriages and abuse." I turned to Liam, my eyes sparkling. "I want to tell them that no matter what happens, if you just have the courage to stand up and fight, you can reset your life at any time. That emotional and physical abuse in a home isn't a family matter, it's a crime. And that a woman's most powerful weapon is an unshakable sense of self and financial independence." "That is a beautiful idea." Liam smiled brightly, squeezing my hand. "But when will you have the time? You're already swamped with the studio. No need to rush. We have a long, brilliant lifetime ahead of us." I smiled. That's right, a lifetime. The fireworks ended, and the night sky returned to a deep darkness. But I knew that soon, the first sun of the new year would rise. A new year. The beginning of a new life. I was perfectly ready. Ready to love passionately, work fiercely, and be entirely the master of my own life. The courage to stand tall against any trial or prejudice that blocks my path. And the courage to firmly say no when necessary. That was the greatest lesson that painful slap had taught me. And it was the small, yet magnificent record of victory I wanted to dedicate to all the women in the world.
I'm freezing. I'm bleeding. Slowly fading away. But don't worry, I'm fine. cold has settled in my heartbeat, like winter living in my veins. Every breath feels numb and fragile, every smile just hides the pain. I'm breaking quietly in silence, falling slow without a sound. Yet I keep saying I'm okay, while my world burns to the ground. I'm frozen here, I'm bleeding slowly, dying piece by piece inside. But I still whisper, it's alright, just to keep you from goodbye. I'm shattered, love, but don't you worry, I'll pretend till my last breath. Even while my soul is fading, I'll say everything's okay. Maybe pain just learned to live here, maybe sorrow feels like home. So I wear my wounds like armor and survive them all alone. I'm frozen here, I'm bleeding slowly, dying piece by piece inside. But I still whisper, it's alright, just to keep you from goodbye. I'm shattered, love, but don't you worry, I'll pretend till my last breath. Even while my soul is fading, I'll say everything's okay. If you ever see me smiling, no, it's just my last defense. 'Cause sometimes love means hiding how much you're suffering. No, I'm frozen here, I'm bleeding slowly, dying piece by piece inside. But I still whisper, it's alright, just to keep you from goodbye. I'm shattered, love, but don't you worry, I'll pretend till my last breath. Even while my soul is fading, I'll say everything's okay. It's okay. Don't pity me. My heart doesn't need your mercy. I can still stand on my own. I was broken by your leaving, fell deeper than I thought I would. But pain has taught me how to heal now and survive what once I couldn't. You don't have to look back sadly, don't reach out with guilty hands. What you shattered made me stronger, now I rise where I once collapsed. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. I once begged for your affection, now I've learned my worth in scars. And the man you left in pieces found his own way through the dark. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn learn to breathe again. So keep your sympathy behind you. I don't need what's left undone. Sometimes losing who once broke you is how healing has begun. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow. I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling. I'll rise alone again. I'll rise alone